Although Yemo had already come out of the underground room, he had to commend Yuan Zhirong for his cruelty. Not only had he built the base underground, he also had planted 7 or 8 bombs. This wasn't the first time Yemo had to deal with bombs. Yemo was going to dig them all out and bury them around their mansion. The mansion probably cost around a few $100 million to have it built. He wondered what Yuan Zhirong would feel when he pressed the button, and his own mansion was blown away. Although Yemo also wanted to place a few at their office building, but he thought that would cost the life of a lot of innocent people, so he stopped that thought. Yemo shook his head. He wasn't cruel enough. A cruel person would bury Yuan Zhirong in his building without doubts. 3 hours later, Yemo left the Yuan family's mansion. Luo Shang was a bartender. He knew Sister Ing. He usually worked from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Although Sister Ing was a promoter, she never stayed over 10 p.m. at the bar. But that day it was already morning and she was still there. She didn't try to promote her wine. She just sat nervously at the table as though she was waiting for someone. "Io, isn't this Sister Ing? How come you still haven't finished work by now?" A casual voice sounded. A young man in his 20s walked to Lu Yingying and sat down beside her. There were 2 other young men with him, but when they saw the young man sit next to Lu Yingying, they sat on a different table. Lu Yingying frowned. She knew that young man. He had kept pestering her for more than once. She never gave him any chance because she finished work at 10 p.m. every day. "Let's have 2 cups of blue flower blue leaf wine on me this time," the young man said. Lu Yingying said coldly, "Guchong, I don't want to drink with you, move aside." The young man smiled. "Sister Ing, I'm helping you do business. Is this how you treat someone who helps your business?" Lu Yingying stood up as though she hadn't heard him and tried to sit somewhere else. She knew Guchong was an overlord there, but she also knew what to do and rarely messed with him. He usually came to the bar at after 11, and she left earlier. If it had been another time, she would have had a drink. But this time, she was annoyed and desperately wanted to see Yemo. She wasn't in the mood to waste time with Guchong. Brother Gu treated you for drink and is advertising for you, but you treat him with this attitude. How can you be like this, Sister Ing?" The 2 young men got on Lu Yingying's way. Guchong's expression sunk. Usually, when he saw that woman and messed with her, she never dared to speak up. Had she taken the wrong medicine that day? Lu Yingying had been listed as one of his women ages ago. Although she wasn't some rare beauty, she wasn't ugly. Her main attractive was her chest. It was too enticing. However, Guchong rarely came to the bar before 10, so he forgot about that woman most of the time. He didn't lack women. For him, if he could have a wealthy girl, he would take her. But sometimes it was another kind of fun playing with a bar girl. Lu Yingying's face looked bad. She knew what she had done just then wasn't too good, but she was too excited. "Sorry, young Master Gu. I wasn't in a good mood. I will apologize. This shot will be on me." Then she drank a cup. Guchong laughed. "That's how it should be." But then, Guchong signaled his 2 lackeys. The young man who had stopped her raised his thumb. "Sister Ing is really understanding, but today you've made our Brother Gu angry. Brother Gu is magnanimous, but don't you think you need to give him something in return? What else do you want?" Lu Yingying's face didn't change. She had seen this in the bar too often. If he was going to continue pressuring her, she wouldn't retreat anymore. The more you back down, the more cocky these people got. "What do we want to do? Sister Ing, Brother Gu admires you, so today you will have to stay with him. From now on, your business will be handled by Brother Gu," one of the young men said. Lu Yingying's face changed and immediately said, "Keep dreaming." Guchong sneered, "You're asking for it." As soon as Guchong said this, the young rose his hand to slap Lu Yingying. Lu Yingying had been using the blue flower blue leaf wine for a long time and, although she hadn't cultivated, she was agile. Before the young man could slap her, she blocked it subconsciously. However, the young man's strength was great and she still stumbled and fell into a seat. Luo Shang was worried, but he knew that he couldn't offend Guchong. But before he could call the police, he was stopped. "Boss." Luo Shang hadn't expected his boss to stop him. "Luo Shang, I know what you're thinking, but Guchong isn't someone we can offend. If you call the police, he will still be fine, but you would be in trouble and I would be involved. Sai Lu Yingying is unlucky today. Furthermore, being in this profession, you would come across this one way or another, the middle-aged man sighed. Many people saw the scene, but no one came to help. Lu Yingying had a sliver of desperation in her eyes. She looked at Gu Chong and said, "Young Master Gu, I agree to what you want, but just give me one night. I'm seeing a friend tonight. I will stay with you tomorrow." Gu Chong laughed. "Although you're not some teenage virgin, you must go in bed with someone else after me. You're called Gu Qiong," a plain voice sounded. Lu Yingying had excitement flash across her eyes. She didn't think she was being rescued, but the person she was waiting for finally had arrived. "You're finally here." Lu Yingying seemed to have 1,000 things to say. This time, she wouldn't let the young man go no matter what. In that moment, she actually forgot she was being oppressed by Gu Chong. Gu Chong studied Yemo and said in contempt, "This was the friend you were waiting for to sleep with?" Lu Yingying just realized that the issue there hadn't been solved. Her face changed. She didn't know if Yemo was the person she was looking for. But if he wasn't, then she had gotten him into trouble. Although Yemo didn't know what had happened, he could tell by the looks. Yemo didn't reply to Gu Chong and said to Lu Yingying, "Didn't you need me for something? Let's go." Lu Yingying looked at Gu Chong and the others and bit her lips. She walked around the two lackeys, but what made her feel something was off was that they didn't stop her. "Let's go quickly." Lu Yingying pulled Yemo and wanted to leave as fast as possible. Yemo smiled. "Okay, let's go." As soon as Yemo and Lu Yingying walked past the two guys, Gu Chong and his two men finally reacted. They had felt their bodies freeze. Chase her. Although Gu Chong didn't know what that was, he wouldn't let food escape from his mouth. "They're chasing us, let's run." Lu Yingying pulled Yemo as she got ready to run. Yemo nodded, but Lu Yingying's expression changed rapidly. She found out that Yemo didn't run very fast, and they only had been running for a kilometer before they were stopped under a tree again by them. Lu Yingying had finally found someone who knew about the blue flower, blue leaf grass, and she really didn't want to let Yemo go like that. "Why don't you keep running?" Gu Chong scorned. Lu Yingying was still rapidly thinking about how she could make Gu Chong let them go when she realized that the youth she had pulled along had already walked up to Gu Chong. "I was never planning on running. The reason why I came here was because I didn't want to cause a disturbance in the bar," Yemo said plainly. Yemo didn't want to be caught by the Yuan family because of his plan going into action. Gu Chong laughed first, but soon stopped his smile, because he realized that this youth wasn't just saying stuff randomly. As soon as he'd finished, there were people getting slapped in the face over and kicked. Gu Chong's two men didn't even have the time to react before being knocked to the ground. The only sound he heard was that of bones breaking, but even then, his men didn't even get to scream. "You!" Gu Chong realized the situation wasn't good. Yemo walked up to Gu Chong and sent a slap his way. Gu Chong was smacked away like a fly. He spat mouthfuls of blood and crouched on the ground, looking in horror as Yemo slowly approached him. "My brother-in-law is Hefeng Police Department's vice chief. You can't do anything to me dash," before Gu Chong could even finish. Yemo slapped again with multiple teeth falling out of Gu Chong's mouth. At this moment, he realized that his brother-in-law would be of no use as a backup. His two men were laying still on the ground, and it was unknown whether they were dead or alive. If this person had really just killed those three, Gu Chong shivered. If he were to be killed, then no matter what his sister did to get avenge him, he wouldn't be able to come back to life. "Don't hit me. I can give you a lot of money. I can make you a major government official of Hefeng." Gu Chong thought of all sorts of reasons for Yemo to stop attacking him. But when he said that, this man stopped attacking him unexpectedly. Yemo took back the leg he was about to kick Gu Chong with and looked at him coldly. "Your brother-in-law is just a police chief, a vice chief at that. How can he give me a major government official position?" Gu Chong breathed easy. Although he was beaten quite heavily, it was good that he could bargain with this person. As long as he agreed, Gu Chong had ways to deal with them. Thinking about this, Gu Chong wanted to trick Yemo. Yemo was far above the level of Gu Chong. He could see what Gu Chong was thinking just by looking into his eyes. Emo couldn't even be bothered to talk and just kicked, breaking Gu Chong's arm. Gu Chong's soul was about to be blown away due to fear. He knew that this person really had the guts to kill him. He no longer dared to make up stories and said, I really do have a way. I have evidence against Mayor Nyo which I can blackmail him with. If you use this to threaten him, he will agree to you for sure. Emo thought, Mayor Nyo? This must be that half-bald guy he had seen. How could someone like Gu Chong have evidence against him? Thinking about this, Emo questioned in contempt. Who do you think you are? How can you have evidence against him? Seeing Emo's doubt, Gu Chong quickly said, Big brother, I really do. I got this from my brother-in-law. He has worked for Mayor Nyo, and every time he did, he would keep evidence in his diary. Once, I went to my brother-in-law's house and found it on his computer, after which I copied it secretly. As long as Big Brother has mercy on me, I can give these to you. A mayor's secret could be caught by a vice chief of the police? This must be something not all too important. Gu Chong thought about how his 2 men had been killed before, and he just wanted Emo to let him live. Seeing that Emo was still doubting him, he immediately continued, It's because I knew that my brother-in-law has a computer that never connects to the internet. Every time he used the computer, he would turn it off. I figured this computer had to have secrets on it. So while he went to the toilet, I sneaked into his room and copied the files that were on it. Emo sneered and stood on Gu Chong's broken hand, saying, Your eyes are dodging mine, which means you're lying. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance. You can be on your way now. Having declared that, Emo was going to kick Gu Chong. Gu Chong saw with his own eyes how Emo killed his 2 men with a kick. How could he let Emo kick him? He quickly called out, Big brother, I'll tell you, my sister told me to do it. She thought my brother-in-law was going to divorce her, so she wanted to use this against him. I'm really telling the truth this time. Lu Yingying stood frozen by the side. She didn't expect this youth to be this strong. What shocked her even more was his cruelty. Had he really killed? Those 2 still hadn't moved up until now. Emo sneered, not saying a word. Suddenly, a dagger appeared in his hand, reflecting the moonlight from under the tree, giving the dagger a frosty glow. Gu Chong forgot that Emo didn't need a weapon to kill him. He thought Emo was going to kill him and screamed, Big brother, I still haven't given the evidence to you, so don't kill me. That evidence is about Mayor Nyo. It has his records of being bribed and political misconducts. Seeing that Emo didn't move, Gu Chong quickly continued, A year ago, the water storage of Shitong town was broken by the water due to trashy construction which flooded many villages. That was all because of him. Emo immediately remembered Xianxia telling him how he'd saved some people in a flood. Was that then? Keep talking. Emo held some interest since it involved Xianxia. Seeing Emo finally have some interest, Gu Chong quickly said, The mayor of Shitong town had great dreams. When he first came, he wanted to make Shitong into a touristic area. He used his connections to get 60 million worth of funds to build a metal-like dam for water storage and move the villagers from downstream away. Because this fund had to go through the city, Mayor Nyo took 50 million from the sum and only gave a few million. He even sent a few people to monitor the progress, and at that time, Su Hong happened to be hospitalized due to an illness. Thus, this dam building was supervised by another mayor and the people Mayor Nyo had sent. Noticing how Emo was listening intently, Gu Chong further explained with increased vigor. Mayor Nyo used the money for a holiday in the US. He even brought a gambling master along, but he lost all the money in Las Vegas. Emo finally understood. Mayor Nyo wanted to earn from that money yet lost everything. A dam built with a few million. No wonder it was a garbage construction. Because there were no more funds to build the dam, it could only be finished in a rush. When Su Hong came out of the hospital, there was a thunderstorm before he could check the construction. The rain with the blood blew the dam apart, and Mayor Nyo blamed all of that on Su Hong and the assistant he had sent. They later committed suicide. Gu Chong said this and looked at Emo carefully. He didn't know if this would be enough to save his life. Emo sneered. Committed suicide? Su Hong knew he had been set up. He would never commit suicide. The timing of Su Heng going into the hospital was too coincidental. Niu Manjing managed to cover all this up? He was quite capable. Seeing Yimo's continued silence, Gu Chong quickly added, 4 years ago, at the Yuanbei Lu food poisoning incident, 43 workers died. This was also suppressed by Mayor Niu, who at the time was only a vice mayor. Even that could be suppressed. With modern-day technology, you'd have to be very capable for that. This was different from Yi Mo's slaughter in the hidden sections. No matter how many people died in the hidden sects, no government would care. However, Yi Mo wouldn't have expected something to the extent of a food poisoning incident to have been covered up. Gu Chong said, these were homeless people the Yuan family had found from all over the place, so when the incident happened, it didn't matter much. Many people never even heard about it. No wonder, Yi Mo thought. Wait, if the Yuan family really wanted to build Yuanbei Lu, they would need more than 40 workers. As for these workers, why would they need to be homeless people? Maybe to create that underground base? Yi Mo immediately understood. On the surface, the Yuan family used them to build Yuanbei Lu, but secretly, they used them to dig into the earth to prepare for the building of the underground base. After that was done, they were all killed. This was comparable to the means of ancient emperors. How did your brother-in-law come to know about this stuff? Yi Mo continued to ask. Gu Chong answered without hesitation. My brother-in-law used to be the mayor's secretary. Only this year did he become the police vice chief. So that was it. Yi Mo nodded. Bring me to the location where you keep the things you've copied. You have saved your life, Yi Mo said. Some things that weren't of much use to him, he could give to Xianxia as means for him to progress. Yes, big brother. About my 2 men, Gu Chong muttered shakily. Yi Mo said plainly, they won't die yet. Once you come back, all you have to do is pee on their face. Gu Chong knew that Yi Mo meant that he had to splash them with water, but he didn't dare refute. He was scared he would die if he pissed Yi Mo off. Gu Chong didn't live that far away, so 20 minutes later, Yi Mo and Lu Yingying were taking away a storage disk from Gu Chong's place. After confirming the data on it, Yi Mo couldn't be bothered with Gu Chong anymore. He left with Lu Yingying without even curing his hand. Yi Mo believed that Gu Chong wouldn't have the guts to spill this. If word got out, this would be no good for him nor for his brother-in-law. Come over for a chat at my house? Lu Yingying looked at Yi Mo with anticipation. Sure. Yi Mo wanted to know where Lu Yingying had gotten her blue flower blue leaf grass from. If there really was that much, he wouldn't need to worry about cultivation resources anymore. He would be able to entree the qi-gathering tertiary stage without a problem. Lu Yingying's place was not too far from the bar. She rented a 1-bedroom house. It was an old building, so when Yi Mo arrived, there was only a sleeping old man acting as the guard, and no one could be seen inside the entire building block. Even the road lights were a dim yellow. Lu Yingying lived on the 3rd floor. When Yi Mo entered the room after her, he found the lighting was very bad there. Luckily, they were on the 3rd floor. If it had been the 1st or 2nd floor, there would have probably been a musty smell too. Yi Mo sat down in the living room as Lu Yingying poured him a drink. Yi Mo could tell the drink contained blue flower blue leaf grass, but it was a pity that it had no use for Yi Mo as the herb didn't even have a single flower. Although Yi Mo was disappointed, he didn't speak up. He knew that since Lu Yingying had brought him here, it had to be because of the blue flower blue leaf grass. There was no need for him to ask anything before Lu Yingying started to speak. Lu Yingying also poured herself something and sat down facing Yi Mo. Then, she asked shakily, so, since you know it's a herb, then are you a cultivator? Yi Mo thought for a moment. The term cultivator was a very ambiguous word. Doing ancient martial arts was cultivation, truth, spirit qi. Cultivation was also cultivation. Since she had asked the question in this way, it meant that she didn't understand cultivation. Yi Mo didn't explain the difference and nodded. Yes, I am. Lu Yingying heard this reply and almost tipped over her drink. She suddenly stood up and knelt down in front of Yi Mo. Just as Yi Mo was feeling strange, Lu Yingying begged with a crying voice, Please help me, Qian Bei. Yi Mo frowned and said coldly, If there is anything you want to ask, sit down and speak. I have something to ask you too. But if you keep kneeling down, then sorry, but I'll be leaving. Lu Yingying quickly got up and sat back in her seat. She wiped her eyes and said, My family comes from a small, far-off village in Jing City, but my parents were never there. I used to live with my younger brother and my grandfather. My grandfather managed to become a doctor of Chinese medicine, because he had been taught by a master and obtained some recipes and a method for cultivating herbs. Herb cultivation method? Emo immediately thought of the blue flower blue leaf grass, but that needed a certain amount of spirit qi to be able to survive. Even in the wild, it had to grow in places containing spirit qi. Although he could tell Lu Yingying's herb didn't even have a single flower, if she had grown it herself, that would be astonishing enough. Lu Yingying continued, This recipe is the heart protection serum, and it requires tens of different herbs, being very complicated to make. Blue flower blue leaf grass is one of the main ingredients. 4 years ago, a man in his 50s and a man in his 40s came to my grandpa to buy the serum. My grandpa rejected them, but what we didn't expect was that they would be so heartless. They killed my grandpa, killed my brother, and took our ancestral recipe. Emo sighed. Lu Yingying was quite pitiful. Lu Yingying bit her teeth as she continued. The dogs barking let the people in the village know and frightened the two away. When I got back, it was clear my grandpa wasn't going to make it. Before he died, he told me what they looked like and told me that if I ever find someone who knows about the blue flower blue leaf grass, I can ask that person for help. He said that without finding someone who knows about it, I mustn't try to get revenge. Those people didn't know that the recipe didn't contain the main ingredient, the blue flower blue leaf grass. Although it would still work without it, it would be far less potent. Why must it be someone who knows of the blue flower blue leaf grass? Emo asked subconsciously. Lu Yingying calmed down from her excited state and explained, Because the master who gave my grandpa the recipe was a cultivator, and he said that only cultivators would know about the blue flower blue leaf grass. Lu Yingying eyed Emo once before continuing. 3 years ago, the Yuan Bei Corporation's heart safety serum entered the market and became their top product. Only then did I finally find out it was the Yuan family who had stolen it. I then chose to stay in Hefeng, in the bar closest to the Yuan family, advertising the blue flower blue leaf wine. I wanted to attract someone who knew about the blue flower blue leaf grass and find a way to kill Yuan Zhirong. But in these 3 years, I haven't found anyone, nor have I had a chance to kill Yuan Zhirong. In my moment of desperation, I met you. My grandpa said that if I encounter a cultivator who knows about the blue flower blue leaf grass, I may give him the cultivation method and ask him to get revenge for us. After saying this, Lu Yingying walked to a cabin and opened it, taking out a disc-shaped thing from it. This is what cultivates the blue flower blue leaf grass. You only need to plant the seed in an environment with fresh air and put the disc next to the seed. After that, the herb can live. Formation disc? Emo took it and almost screamed. He was actually seeing a formation disc on Earth. It was a spirit-gathering formation disc. Were there really actual cultivators there? Was it someone like him who had transmigrated from the cultivation realm? Or was it someone from the hidden sects that could make these formation discs? There was starting energy in the disc, but he didn't know if it was spirit stones because it was almost out. It was a pity, the starting energy had almost run out. When it was all gone, it would be useless if there was no spirit stones. It was simple to make a formation disc like that one, but the main thing was the driving energy, whether it was essential chi or spirit stones. This was very important to Emo comparatively. This formation disc was worth nothing, because Emo could make it himself if he had the materials. Moreover, he didn't need a formation disc to make formations. It seemed that the cultivators there were as simple as he had thought. Lu Yingying looked worriedly as she saw Emo get lost in his thoughts, staring at the disc. She didn't know if Emo would attack her because of it. Seeing Lu Yingying's worried expression, Emo smiled faintly. This disc has no use for me, you can keep it. Lu Yingying's expression changed. Her heart sank. Her grandpa's words hadn't gotten true. Although she had waited at Hefeng for these years and had finally found someone who knew about the blue flower blue leaf grass, he wasn't interested in her price. Seeing her disappointed look, Emo smiled and said, Don't worry about your revenge. I came to Yifeng this time also to get revenge from the Yuan family. I won't hide it from you. I'm the person responsible for Luo Yu in Flowing Snake. The beauty pill incident is due to the Yuan family. Do you think I will let them live? So, in at most a week, you will see them disappear from Yifeng. Are you the president of Luo Yu? Oh my god. The beauty pill and healthy pill are absurd. And you were the one who made them? When I saw that report on the negative effects, I knew it was someone trying to harm Luo Yu. It was so indeed. Lu Yingying stood up in joy. She was joyful because had Yemo promised her to annihilate the Yuan family. But she was also joyful for meeting the creator of Luo Yu. He was a legendary figure. So you don't need to worry. When the Yuan family is annihilated, you can also tell reporters about what they did to your family, Yemo said. Lu Yingying bowed to Yemo once again. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I may never be able to get revenge in my entire life. Yemo nodded. That disc will be of no use in a short time, so don't use it to cultivate blue flower blue leaf grass. The ones you cultivated didn't even have a single flower. Its medicinal value is very low. After Yemo had left Lu Yingying's place, he decided to find a famous reporter to expose them and then look for Xianxia. He was going to give his material to Xianxia and make him go find Li Chunsheng. This way, when Li Chunsheng establishes his position in Yifeng, he would remember Xiao's work. This was different from helping Xiao because of him. Yemo had low exposure to the media, and so he didn't know any popular reporters. He thought about asking his friends in Beijing for help. Zhangju or Zhuaiguo would both do. Thinking about Zhuaiguo, Yemo suddenly thought of Xiao Lei. With these thoughts, Yemo took out Xiao Lei's business card. Since he knew Xiao Lei and she was a famous reporter in Beijing, he might as well call her. When Yemo called Xiao Lei's number, he just realized it was already 3 a.m. But since he had already called, he wasn't going to hang up. Xiao Lei was still half awake when the phone started ringing. She couldn't who would calling her at that moment. Did that person have a problem? Xiao Lei had been working for the whole day and didn't get enough rest. So, of course, anyone would be annoyed at getting a call in her situation. Although she wanted to hang up, her professional behavior made her pick up. Who is this? Xiao Lei's tone wasn't nice. After all, it was very late. Yemo knew Xiao Lei's character. If there were bombshell news, she would give that top priority, so he didn't mind her tone. I have big news here. Yifeng's mayor laundered tens of millions, and it resulted in a garbage construction that destroyed a few villages. A company is planning to spread a virus in order to promote its product. Journalist Xiao, are you interested in these news? Yemo smiled. What? Xiao Lei was shocked by Yemo's words. She had been a journalist for so many years, but this kind of news were rare and it wasn't just one. Who are you? How do I know you're not lying? Xiao Lei retained her composure and her tone turned cold. Yemo smiled. We know each other. I wouldn't lie to you. Who are you? Xiao Lei thought Yemo's voice was indeed familiar. Who was it? I'm Yemo I dash. Before Yemo could say where he was, the phone suddenly hung up. Xiao Lei was struck. The person who had called her was Yemo, the man who she one-sidedly loved and had a wife. Why did he call her in the middle of the night? Did he use the news as an excuse? She couldn't believe so many things were happening at the same time. Xiao Lei's hand started to shake. Yemo was asking her out in the middle of the night. She had been taken by surprise. When she finally reacted, she found out that her phone was on the ground. Before she could think twice, she dialed back, but she realized she couldn't reach him. She didn't know Yemo's phone and his number had a special contract. If he didn't set the number, other people can't call him. Out of battery? Yemo said to himself and called again. Xiao Lei was worried and sweating when Yemo called back again. She picked up as fast as she could and said, Yemo, where are you? I'm at the Wu He Bar in Yifeng. I really need your help. These news are real. I need you to spread it as fast as you can, Yemo said calmly, trying not to get her to misunderstand him. Is it really true? Xiao Lei calmed down. She realized she was thinking too much. Yemo seemed to love Ning Qingxue a lot. How could he be asking her out on a date in the middle of the night? Even if he did, he didn't need to be like that. Xiao Lei patted her head and calmed down. She thought about it. Then she used a slower tone and said, "Emo, you can't say things randomly like that. If you don't have any evidence, there will be legal consequences. Don't leave no matter what. If you need my help, wait until come. Before I arrive, don't do anything. Even if you have evidence it's about a mayor, you can't spread it out easily just like that. Okay, I'll wait for you at the bar in the morning." Emo understood her worries. She must have thought he didn't have evidence. But Emo didn't mind. If she didn't dare to do it, he would ask Li Choyang for help. This was a small thing for him. Even if he didn't have evidence, Emo would still do it. By the time Emo arrived at Shitong town, it was already daytime. Emo didn't know where Xianxia lived, so he called him, and as soon as he did, the phone was picked up. Xianxia didn't sound sleepy at all. Emo could tell that Xianxia hadn't slept that night. He didn't know what had happened, but for now, Emo just got to the temporary residence Xianxia lived in. When Emo got there, Xianxia and Song Xiaotan were already waiting at the door. "Xianxia, why are you living in a place like this? This Wu Zhe sure has got some balls." Emo might not be in politics, but he definitely wouldn't let Xianxia live in such a tattered place. Xianxia's eyes were red, and the bags under his eyes were completely black. One could tell he hadn't had a good sleep for a long time. Although he was curious why Emo had visited him at this time, he didn't ask. He could tell from Yemo's expression that he was very angry though, so he quickly said, "This has nothing to do with Mayor Wu or Brother Zhou Ping. They are also very troubled right now." Emo came to understand that there might be some other reason. Wu Zhe probably wouldn't have dared do this. After Emo went inside and sat down, Xianxia started explaining. Back when Xianxia arrived, he wasn't admitted into the Senate due to his lacking experience. This way, he couldn't help Wu Zhe in the Senate while the secretary of Mayor Hongzhou was a rather domineering person. Before Wu Zhe's arrival, he already had a firm grip on all power. So when Wu Zhe appeared, he only had Zhou Ping to help him. Hence they were on the downside. If Luo Yu hadn't encountered any problems, Wu Zhe still might have had some power, but it had been reported that the beauty pill had negative effects. Since Luo Yu was brought in by Wu Zhe and Xianxia, that only served to make their situation even worse. Despite Wu Zhe being a man of the Li family, he would turn valueless if he needed the Li family to help him with this. With Wu Zhe being alone, the situation was getting worse and worse. Li Chunxing wasn't able to help Wu Zhe either as he was in trouble himself. "My job is pretty much a hollow shell now. Everything is controlled by Hong Chao's men, and Mayor Niu is Hong Chao's supporter. Xiaotan and I discussed for the whole night last night, because she was trying to persuade me to give up the position, but I remain unsatisfied. You helped me get this position, and I don't want to give up before even having begun," Xianxia said helplessly. Emo nodded. No wonder Shitong's damn incident could be suppressed. Even the secretary was Mayor Niu's guy. Emo patted Xianxia's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, I can solve this for you. You know about the damn incident, right? The one that enabled you to rise to your current position." Xianxia immediately nodded. "Of course I know, everyone does. Still, the higher-ups suppressed it. I suspect that it must have something to do with Mayor Niu, but no one dares say anything without evidence. My instinct tells me that Mayor Su has to have been wronged." Emo couldn't help but commend Xiaoxia's political instinct. "Your suspicion is correct. I have evidence of Mayor Niu's money laundering." Emo took out the card and told Xianxia to turn on his computer. Half an hour later, Xianxia was completely baffled. This information was so top secret that it even contained the schemes of Yuanbei Corporation. Emo, this. He couldn't imagine how Emo had managed to obtain such a thing. It was only yesterday that the beauty pill had been reported to have side effects, yet now Emo already had this kind of evidence on film. Emo was too absurd, too powerful. How could Yuanbei Corporation even fight him? This was nothing but suicide. Fighting Emo was suicide indeed. Seeing this, Emo patted Xiaoxia's shoulder and said, "I copied the info to your computer, and you may use it as needed. If you can't rise up now, I won't help you anymore, and you can just help me over at Flowing Snake. Emo, you are my best friend. Saying thank you is meaningless, but if I can't rise up from this, I might as well die. I will be going to Flowing Snake for sure. After I get my revenge, I will go. Although I like politics, Shout N doesn't, Xianxia said. Emo nodded. Then what will you be doing next? I will notify Wu Zhe first and then go find Mayor Li in Hefeng. He's been really troubled lately. If he can get his hands on this, he will know how to use it, Xianxia immediately said. He knew his power was too low, so giving it to Li Chunxing would maximize its potential. Okay. Emo was happy with Xianxia's reply. It showed how mature he was now. Emo called Yu Miaodan and sent over the video he'd recorded and told her that as soon as she got his call, she had to post this video on the official Luo Yu website. Yu Miaodan really couldn't believe that after Emo went out for only one night, he managed to get this evidence fresh from the press. The meeting had been recorded very clearly. No wonder Emo had told her to get a good camera. Yu Miaodan really suspected that Emo might have stood right in front of them as he recorded. Regardless, with this recording, even if they didn't do anything, Luo Yu was safe. Yu Miaodan put aside her worries and felt greater respect for Emo. She really wondered how he had done it. After Emo sent Yu Miaodan the video, he immediately went to Hefeng with Xianxia. Li Chunxing was feeling huge pressure when he came to Hefeng. He wasn't an actual member of the Li family. Yet as soon as he came here, he realized that the waters ran very deep in this city. After only a couple of meetings, he could already barely save himself. He was nothing but a vice-mayor. Luckily, he was a vice-secretary too. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be getting the chance to speak. Li Chunxing knew that however hard it may be, he couldn't ask for help from the Li family now. He had only been a vice-mayor before, and only thanks to Li Chuyang did he become a vice-secretary for the central power. Could be said that he had taken this position away right from Mayor Nyo's group. This might have been due to the Li family's might, or perhaps Mayor Nyo was about to be moved away. Otherwise, Li Chunxing could never have gotten the rank. However, it was at the same time a clear sign that if Li Chunxing could make some good progress, the next mayor of Hefeng just might be Li Chunxing. If he received all this and still wasn't capable of standing tall, he would be deemed useless and might get dumped by the Li family. Li Chunxing knew that the purpose of today's meeting was to suppress his power, on account of his mistake of bringing in the Luo Yu which sold fake medicine. Li Chunxing sighed. He knew that this Mayor Nyo was full of schemes, but he had to go nonetheless. Just as he was about to leave, someone unexpected appeared before his door. Mayor Shi, how come you are here? Did something happen in Shitong? Li Chunxing felt like this couldn't be good. Xianxia's situation was even worse than his, and he was on the same team as Xianxia. Something had to have gone wrong in Shitong for Xianxia to visit him. Hold on, Li Chunxing immediately saw that although Xianxia's eyes were red, his expression was one of excitement. Mayor Li, we can flip the tables this time. Xianxia could no longer contain his excitement. Li Chunxing's level of political awareness wasn't something Xianxia could compare with. He looked around carefully before calmly saying, Xianxia, come inside and have a seat first. Then, Li Chunxing brought Xianxia in and closed the door. After looking at the video recording, Li Chunxing was frozen. After a while, he muttered to himself, amazing, amazing. Mayor Li, this is probably useful, Xianxia said happily. Li Chunxing reacted and grabbed Xianxia's arm in excitement. Xianxia, where did you get this? With this, how could they even fight back? You're a really good right hand. Wait, Xianxia, how did you get this? Every single recording is full of information. Where did you get such a complete set? Li Chunxing didn't suspect it was fake. It looked very real. Xianxia had also been very excited all day. He pointed at the video of Yuan Zhirong's room and said, of course it was young Master Mo. Li Chunxing immediately reacted. Who else other than Yi Mo could get this? The supporter of Yuan Bei Corporation was Mayor Nyo, and they were plotting against Yi Mo's Luo Yu. This had offended Yi Mo and he had come to investigate. Did Yi Mo come to investigate? Li Chunxing suddenly had goosebumps. How long did it take for Yi Mo find such precise evidence? He was strong, too strong. He rejoiced for having picked the best side early. He had been on Yi Mo's side for a long time ago. These people probably don't want to live. How dare they offend Yi Mo? If Yi Mo was easy to defy, the the Song family wouldn't have disappeared that fast. The Qiu family wouldn't have needed Qiu Zhongxin to go to the restaurant to apologize personally. Li Chunxing wanted to scream. "It is your fault for being blind, Mayor Niu. How dare you act against young Master Mo?" Something wasn't right. Li Chunxing immediately remembered Yi Mo's usual way of doing things. He killed them all. Why did he take the complicated approach this time? He had the power to end it quickly. Why did he collect all the evidence and make sure Xiu send it over? Li Chunxing was experienced in life, so he understood why. Yi Mo was different from before. Firstly, he had a base in Flowing Snake and had a group of people working for him. His past behavior was no longer suitable. But this way, it made Li Chunxing happier. It was easier for him to do things according to the rules. The second reason was that Yi Mo wanted to develop Luo Yu and he needed to bring down the Yuan family overtly. If he secretly went to the Yuan family and massacred them, then although he would get his revenge, others would blame Luo Yu for it. The third reason was that he wanted him to help Xiu. Thinking about this, Li Chunxing walked up to Xiu and patted his shoulder. "Xiu, I'm a few years older than you and we're friends. Just call me brotherly from now on. Just looking at what you gave me today, if I didn't reorganize Hefeng completely, I would have lived for nothing." Li Chunxing spoke from his heart. Yi Mo had done 90% of the work. If he couldn't do the rest, he might as well die. Xiu said, "Brotherly, what do we do now?" Li Chunxing said confidently, "I will take away Mayor Niu's power. We can't rely on Hefeng. I will call young Master Li. Since it's been cleared out, the martial police will be coming soon." I didn't expect Niu Zhengman to be this bold. After hearing Li Chunxing's report and knowing that Li Chunxing had evidence, Li Chuyang immediately asked Li Chunxing to give his all. In return, he would give him complete support. "What is it?" Yu Miaodan picked up Luo Fei's call joyfully. "CEO Yu, there are people from the government here who want to cancel our sales license, saying that we're selling fake medicine that harms its users. What do we do?" Luo Fei sounded worried. Yu Miaodan immediately got up. These people were really shameless. Things hadn't even been investigated properly, and they had already come looking for trouble. It seemed that if they stayed low, people really would think Luo Yu was weak. If these people were already at Fei Yu, they would come to Luo Yu soon. "What is it, Sister Yu?" Ning Qingxue walked into the office and found Yu Miaodan with an angry face on the phone. She already knew that Yi Mo had the evidence. He had told her 1 hour ago. Since things were solved, why was Sister Yu still so angry? Yu Miaodan explained things to Ning Qingxue. Ning Qingxue frowned and took the phone. "Yifei, arrange it so that we record their everything movement. Let them take what they want, but don't forget to capture the process. And after they leave, immediately tell my dad to hold a press conference in Yu State. We will broadcast what happens live at Yu State." Yu Miaodan heard this and asked why. Ning Qingxue smiled and said, "These people won't stop. Since they've gone all the way to Yu State, it means they will soon come to Flowing Snake. If they want to cause trouble, then let them do so. Sister Yu, quickly post a notice on our website. Say that there will be a press conference at Guilin. Say it's about the negative effects of the beauty pill, and that we will give customers all over the world a happy answer." Yu Miaodan heard this and clapped in agreement. "Yes, we need to do it like this. If we just put it on our website, they'll think we're scared. But if we do this, will President Yimad was worried. He hadn't said anything about holding a press conference. He had just told her to upload it to publicly when he called. Ning Qingxue said calmly, "He's afraid of troubling us. I think he would do the same for sure, but it's better if we arrange it now so it can be live." Just as Ning Qingxue and Yu Miaodan thought. If Luo Yu hadn't posted the notice, the government officials going to Flowing Snake wouldn't have stopped. No one knew if Luo Yu had support, so no one wanted to be the team facing them on this. With Luo Yu's official announcement of a press conference to explain things, they stopped their journey. They decided to investigate after that. This announcement shocked the world. Although there were some cases of side effects, there were only 4. Many people suspected that Luo Yi was being attacked. Luo Yu's rapid reaction made everyone happy. It had only been 36 hours. As soon as this was announced, almost all the journalists in the country knew what they had to do. Their first reaction was to go to Guilin. but there were only a few flights each day. Because of the desperation and constant negotiation of media entities, airlines made available extra flights to Guilin. Meanwhile, Yu Miaodong and the others had already taken a helicopter to Luo Yu's new building in Guilin. When Yemo got back to Hefeng, it was still early. If Li Chunxing hadn't been able to take advantage of the evidence he gave him, he wasn't going to wait for him. As soon as Xiao Lei arrived, he would ask her to make it public. There was a great difference between the media reporting this and Li Chunxing reporting it himself. If Li Chunxing was the first one to expose it, his abilities would be recognized and many people would think of him as a mayor who actually worked for the people. If the media reported it first and then he did, the impact on his reputation would be less. Xiao Lei had just bought the plane ticket and she was waiting to take it at the airport. Xu knew that there was going to be a press conference in Guilin about Luo Yu. If it had been something else, she would have gone there without hesitation. But Yemo had asked her out and she gave it all up without a second thought. She couldn't help feeling impotent. If only the press conference took place a few days later, she would have been able to get first-hand news. Furthermore, she was planning on going to Flowing Snake and interviewing some people. It seemed like she could only go afterwards. There were quite a lot of planes to Hefeng from Beijing, yet Yemo didn't have to wait for long. He saw Xiao Lei, who was dressed very professionally, walk into the bar. It seemed like she didn't think of herself as a journalist that day. She hadn't even brought the things they needed for the interview. It was 8 a.m., and there were few people in the bar. Just when Xiao Lei was looking in confusion into the bar, that was almost empty, a voice called out behind her, "Xiao Lei, this way." The moment Xiao Lei saw Yemo, her face was full of surprise and joy. Although she knew she was coming to see Yemo that day, she was still very happy when she saw him. She had wanted to ask him out many times, but she didn't even know his number. "I came to see you today, but I had to give up huge news." Xiao Lei walked up to Yemo, as though she wanted to get some compensation. "It's quite significant that the great reporter Xiao has called off big news. Could you leak me some info?" Yemo felt that this time it was much more comfortable seeing her than before. Although she was still fond of him, she no longer had eyes for him like before. She probably knew that he was married. Xiao Lei smiled. "Of course. I heard this morning that Luo Yu is going to have a press conference regarding the beauty pill. They say they will give everyone a satisfying answer. Do you think this is big news?" Yemo was dazed and said subconsciously, "How come I don't know?" He immediately thought that it was Yu Miaodong's idea. She must have not wanted Yuan Bei Corporation to have it easy. But that was good, it could support Xiao Lei's report. Xiao Lei covered her mouth as she laughed. "I only got the news this morning as well. You're not in the media industry. How could you know?" Seeing that Yemo's smile was a little weird, Xiao Lei stopped. "I'm the president of Luo Yu. Don't you think I should know about it before anyone?" Yemo smiled. Xiao Lei rolled her eyes. "Nice joke. Tell me, what do you need from me today? You're my lifesaver. One word and I came from Beijing to Hefeng. What do you think? Aren't I reliable?" Yemo nodded. "Very reliable. But this isn't the place to talk. Let's get a room. I will dash." "What? Get a room?" Xiao Lei's smile receded. She didn't think Yemo was that sort of person. They weren't even close and they were already going to get a room at the hotel together. Wasn't it a bit absurd? Even if she had a good impression of Yemo, he was married. And even if he wasn't married, they couldn't do that so soon. Yemo saw Xiao Lei's face and realized she had misunderstood him. He quickly said, "I don't mean that. I'm booking a room because some things can't be said in public. I told you I gathered some evidence, didn't I? I want you to help me spread it." Xiao Lei blushed. What was she thinking? It was too embarrassing. "You really have Mayor Nyo's dash." Xiao Lei stopped subconsciously. She knew she couldn't say that in the middle of the street. Yemo nodded and didn't talk. Xiao Lei felt that Yemo was telling the truth. At least she could tell he wasn't kidding. Are you really the president of Luo Yu?" Xiao Lei just remembered Yemo's words, and her expression froze. Yemo nodded. "Indeed. I'm the president of Luo Yu. Don't worry, it won't impede your job. The press conference at Luo Yu is also because of the same recording." Half an hour later, In a hotel room in Hefeng, Xiao Lei was completely shocked by Yimo's resources. He has given her a very clear and complete set of video recordings. Each one of them would cause a huge thunderstorm. Who was Yimo truly? She couldn't even conceive it anymore. Luo Yu was actually his company. They've just been attacked, and he immediately got enough proof that would mean the end of his enemies. He was a bit too powerful. Seeing Xiao Lei not talk, Yimo thought she was too afraid to expose these news and said, "In fact, I didn't know that my company is holding a press conference. If I did, I wouldn't have invited you over. I'm just afraid that if this gets exposed in Guilin, it wouldn't be as influential as doing it in Beijing. I'll do it. I'll immediately notify the people from the channel to come to Hefeng. I will do a special report on this matter." Xiao Lei immediately realized how valuable these news were. If her news channel was the first to report it live, their popularity would certainly increase. But Xiao Lei hesitated. It was fine to report Yuan Bei Corporation for framing Luo Yu. But as for the Niuzhengman's case, it couldn't be made public so easily. She knew it was one of the taboos in the industry. Yimo could tell what Xiao Lei was concerned about just by looking at her face. He smiled and said, "Report it however you like. Don't worry. This will also published in the Hefeng Senate, so you don't need to worry about anything. No one would dare say anything. If you're lucky, you may get to interview some of Hefeng's leaders and broadcast it live." "Okay. If that's it then, I really have nothing to worry about." Xiao Lei looked at Yimo. She knew that Yimo meant that he had given the proof to Niuzhengman's political enemy. Yimo said again, "There should be people going to investigate the Yuan family's underground research base. If your film team can make it in time, perhaps you can also get a live broadcast." If Yuan Zhirong had known that these were the consequences of challenging Luo Yu, then perhaps he wouldn't have dared to, even if he had 100 lives. Due to Li Chunsheng being late, the Senate's meeting in Hefeng was delayed by 2 hours. Niuzhengman was planning on kicking Chunsheng out of the game. How could he be absent? He wished to see Chunsheng's despair with his own eyes. He liked the feeling of crushing his opponents beneath his feet. As soon as Chunsheng arrived, Niuzhengman got some news. He sneered and said to the secretary, "Start the meeting." Most of the Senate's meetings were started by Niuzhengman. As for the head secretary, Qian Fanghan, he was just for show. He had 1 year left until retirement with no hopes of getting any promotion. Hence, at every meeting, Qian Fanghan's attitude was rather ambiguous. Most people had expected this anyway. By the time Chunsheng had arrived, almost everyone was already there except for him. "Mayor Li is really busy. Luckily, we're all free, so we have time to wait for Mayor Li." As soon as Chunsheng appeared, Chang Yao's voice sounded. But no one in the Senate said anything, since they knew that Chunsheng might possibly leave before even having had the time to warm the mayor's seat. At this moment, it wasn't smart to offend someone who was about to leave. Chunsheng wasn't old. Who knew if he could climb back up again? Niuzhengman glanced at Chunsheng once before opening. "This meeting shall be conducted by me. Jiangping make the records dash." No one ever objected. So Niuzhengman was very domineering. Yet today, as soon as he said this, Qian Fanghan said slowly, "I will conduct the meeting today. Mayor Niu has been quite fatigued lately." This was a very abnormal thing to happen in Hefeng. Ever since Qian Fanghan had come there, he had never done anything domineering nor prepared his own faction. Qian Fanghan was like an old man ready to enter his grave. He had spent half a year telling people that he was just waiting to die. For someone like this who was about to retire, it was unexpected for everyone that he chose to conduct the meeting today. What was going on today? Was this his last shine or something? Even Chunsheng didn't understand this. Was Qian Fanghan on the same side as Niuzhengman? Niuzhengman immediately felt insulted. He had been very domineering, yet today, Qian Fanghan took away his power without any premonition. He thought that even if the old fart wanted to do this, he could have told him earlier. He couldn't just slap his face like that. Everyone at the scene fell into silence. They had all intended to see how Chunsheng would be leaving, yet now, it had become a fight between Qian Fanghan and Niuzhengman. After getting angry, Niuzhengman clenched his fist, thinking, "Even if you're going to retire, I won't back down for something like this. Otherwise, when you leave, how will I perform my job at Hefeng? I require absolute compliance. Secretary Chen, you're quite old now, and it's not easy conducting a meeting, being rather complicated. How about you point out what you have problems with after the meeting? Niu Zhengman said with a smile. Chunsheng didn't expect Qian Fenghan would be making this move right when he was about to fight Niu Zhengman. Qian Fenghan didn't seem to comprehend the underlying meaning of Niu Zhengman's words and continued to talk slowly. I'm the head secretary for the city. Are there really that many problems? The citizens gave us all of our jobs. Since they did it this way, that must mean that I will suffice. Although Mayor Niu is very capable, your eyes aren't as bright as the citizens. Niu Zhengman's anger dissipated, and he immediately became alarmed. Would a secretary who was about to retire use this kind of sharp language? What did this mean? Not only Niu Zhengman, everyone else shivered too. What did those words mean? Everyone knew what Niu Zhengman was doing, but no one ever dared to say a thing. They all realized just now that they'd underestimated this old man. He was actually a level or two higher than everyone at the scene. I support Secretary Qian Fenghan conducting this meeting. Chunsheng was the first to react. He suspected that something was off. As soon as he was going to bring down Niu Zhengman, Qian Fenghan wanted to conduct the meeting. This was too coincidental. Niu Zhengman had a really bad feeling. He felt like Chunsheng was quite peculiar today. He knew Chunsheng very well. Chunsheng usually kept a low profile, and he understood that that was because he hadn't stabilized his position yet. Why was he suddenly supporting Qian Fenghan, and what did that mean? Thinking about this, Niu Zhengman smiled. Haha. Since old Qian isn't afraid of fatigue, then I'll take a short break. This is the content I had prepared to discuss in the meeting. Niu Zhengman handed his documents over to Qian Fenghan. Just because he had been taken by surprise didn't mean that he wasn't going to do what he had been planning to do. He would need to spend some time studying this Qian Fenghan after this meeting, though. Qian Fenghan didn't even look at Niu Zhengman and said, I've been busy with work lately, so I haven't been really impactful in this Senate. Qian Fenghan didn't take the documents Niu Zhengman handed him and instead said, We will be discussing 3 things this meeting. Firstly, about Luo Yu investing in Hefeng and the recent news of their scandal. As for the second topic, Niu Zhengman was taken by surprise yet again. He had only been planning to discuss 2 things this meeting. The first was about Li Chunsheng mistakenly bringing in Luo Yu too. But how come there were 3 things now? Qian Fenghan didn't mind Niu Zhengman's uncertain expression. He just said, As for the second thing, I will talk about it after we finish with the first. I'm very happy that as soon as Li Chunsheng came to Hefeng, he brought over Luo Yu's investment to Shitong. I believe everyone knows the power of Luo Yu. Because of this, we can all see the ambition and capability of Mayor Li. Everyone was shocked, and so was Li Chunsheng. What was this? Was he helping Li Chunsheng? If Luo Yu had been doing well, then he would be thankful, but Luo Yu was in trouble because of their recent scandal. Why was he helping? Niu Zhengman coughed. He knew that he had to speak before Qian Fenghan could finish his second sentence. He said, I was also very happy that Mayor Li brought in the Luo Yu Corporation, but I'm worried now. We don't know who they are. They rose up in one night all over the world. This is very suspicious. I was planning on fully investigating who they were first and then bring them in. But Mayor Li did so without any precautions. He lacks the precaution that a government worker should have. If Luo Yu was clean, it would be fine, but it has brought trouble to the citizens of Hefeng. There have been 6 cases of death and 4 cases of facial destruction. This was all because they used the Luo Yu beauty pill. There has been 2 cases in Hefeng. I'm very heartbroken that this occurred. These heartless merchants are like a disease for our country. But our government officials don't stop them. Instead, they open their doors to them. My heart aches when I see these people. The country put you here for you to create a peaceful and harmonious place for the people, not for you to warm the bed for these pests. Although I'm just a mayor, I will not allow this. Niu Zhengman sat down with satisfaction. He had to just wait for the words of other people in the meeting, and then he would gradually put the blame on Li Chunsheng. He had arranged the families of those who had been damaged to come there and protest. Li Chunxing had no way to deal with it. The only solution would be to leave Hefeng. Clap, clap. Many members, even Qian Fanghan, clapped. Mayor Niu, good speech. We will not allow these pests into Hefeng. We are the government officials of the people. If we sell the people out for some profits, how are we different from animals? Hui Chang's said this with a face of righteousness. With this, a few more members showed their support for Mayor Niu. But Niu Jingman's confidence disappeared from his expression when he saw that there were only 5 out of the 10 people there on his side. It wasn't normal. He usually got more than 8 votes. What was going on today? Qian Fanghan smiled and said, Mayor Niu is correct. A government official that doesn't work for the people should go back home and live like the rat he is. Mayor Li, do you have anything to say? Hearing this, Li Chunxing smiled. He was quite sure that Qian Fanghan wasn't just a puppet. If he didn't do anything, that person was going to do something sooner or later. Li Chunxing stood up and said, Before I say anything, I will play a short recording. Although the reason Xiao Lei had come was because she wanted to eat with Yemo and even go out and play, after hearing this, she knew that this piece of news was an opportunity that would mean a lot to her and her channel. The dinner had to be postponed. The priority was to get her channel to send people over. She trusted Yemo. If he said Mayor Li would agree to an interview, then he would. Yemo didn't have time to eat with her anyway. He needed to go check out the Yuan family. Although he had done his job, if the Yuan family found out something and suddenly ran away, it would be hard for him to find them. In Guilin, the press conference started at 11 a.m. On the dot. Despite having to come on short notice, there were still hundreds of journalists there. Most of them came from Beijing. Everyone, I believe that because of Luo Yu's influence, everyone is aware of happened yesterday. Although our Luo Yu won't dare talk about how noble we are, everyone has seen our contribution to the people of this world. But some people are jealous. They have used all sorts of means to harm and undermine our corporation, Yu Miaodan said with ease. CEO Yu, do you mean that the scandal with the beauty and health pill was due to Luo Yu being framed? Reporter asked. Yu Miaodan smiled and said with confidence. Indeed, that is what I mean. No one expected Yu Miaodan to reply like that. It was such a domineering answer. This journalist was shocked. If he had known that Yu Miaodan would say this, he would have asked the next question already. Who was behind all of this? But his confusion made him lose the opportunity. A busty reporter in her 30s stood up. CEO Yu, according to what I know, your company's product has caused the death of 6 people and ruined the face of 4 others. The figure seems to be increasing. Are you trying to put the responsibility on someone else? Yu Miaodan glared at the reporter and said plainly, the reason our company can produce the beauty pill and health pill is because it has the power to deal with anything. We would never put the blame on others. I see that your skin is soft. I really want to know, do you naturally have such good skin or did you use our beauty pill? If you did, then may I ask, why didn't you die nor is your face ruined? Yu Miaodan's incisive reply made everyone laugh. The reporter's face turned red. She raised her voice and asked, CEO Yu, if everyone who used your product had those side effects, then this world would be a chaos. Furthermore, who knows when the symptoms might occur? Even cancer has a dormant stage. Still, I was asking if CEO Yu was putting the blame on someone else. Why are you avoiding this question? Or are you going to tell us who is framing your company? The reporter replied even more harshly. Does this mean you're suspecting that our medicine is faulty? Yu Miaodan asked. Yu Miaodan said with a strange expression. May I ask when you knew about this? Which channel are you from? Us, journalists, need to be constantly wary about people. Yesterday, Luo Yu got exposed and I heard about it. You don't need to ask me which channel I'm from. I can honestly tell you that I'm the Hefeng Night News reporter Lu Tsueyang. I'm not scared of your revenge. Her tone was very agitated, as though Luo Yu was going to take revenge of her. Yu Miaodan also smiled sardonically. Journalist Lu Tsueyang, since you've known since yesterday that our beauty pill is problematic, why did you take one this morning? You nonsense. I didn't dash. Lu Tsueyang's face was completely red. Yu Miaodan said coldly, I'm the CEO of the beauty pill production. How can I not know about my product? After taking the beauty pill within 6 hours, there should be a faint redness on the skin around the neck. It increases a woman's attractiveness. It is very obvious on you, and it's obvious that it has been less than 4 hours. If you don't believe me, we can test it now. Immediately, everyone looked at Lu Tsueyang. Her face turned red, but she couldn't say a word. Yu Miaodong sneered. You can't answer? Of course you can't answer because you're just a pawn on the Yuan family's paycheck, and then you keep proclaiming about how you care about the people. I think what you care about is how much money goes into your account. As long as it gets you money, I don't think there's anything you wouldn't do. I will sue you for defamation. Lu Tsueyang's face was looking worse and worse. Yu Miaodong said in contempt. Do as you wish. Not only am I defaming you, I'm also hereby defaming Yuan Bei Corporation. Sue me all you want. Go on. CEO Yu, I don't want to help either side. But your words just now pointed at Yuan Bei Corporation. Are you implying that they are the ones setting Luo Yu up? Do you have any evidence? A reporter quickly caught on. Yu Miaodong said plainly, we always base our claims on evidence. Feng Wei, play the video now. I believe everyone will soon understand why I have invited you all over. Yifeng. All of the Senate members froze. The footage Li Chunxing had shown was too shocking. The side effects of Luo Yu's products had been created by Yuan Bei by injecting their blood-dissolving serum into the beauty pill, causing the death of 6 users and the suffering of 4. What was most shocking was that they had created a contagious virus, called the WQ033 series virus. Yuan Bei Corporation wanted to make a profit out of selling antibiotics for it. This was too intolerable. Almost everyone directed their eyes on Chang Hui. They didn't expect him to be Yuan Zhirong's brother, wanting to use this to take a step further in his political career. Chang Hui, what else do you have to say? Qian Fanghan looked coldly at Chang Hui. He no longer seemed slow, seeming very decisive now. Qian Fanghan didn't expect the evidence Li Chunxing would release to be this shocking. Although he had some scattered evidence, he wasn't able to acquire decisive evidence as the conspirators had hidden very deeply. Yet now, Li Chunxing took out such pivotal evidence. This Chang Hui was sweating all over. He wanted to accuse them of framing him, but the recorded video was just too clear. How could it be wrong? He hadn't even changed his outfit. Who was it? Who? How could last night's events appear here? Chang Hui was close to breaking down. He only had one thought. It's over. Completely over. Niu Zhengman also looked at the video in disbelief. He no longer retained his composure. Chang Hui was Yuan Zhirong's brother? His head buzzed as he realized he had also been tricked. By Chang Hui, that is. They had been using him as a pawn, yet funnily enough, he kept helping the Yuan family. There was only one thought in Niu Zhengman's mind now, that he was a pig. Chang Hui, so you're an animal wearing human skin. Secretary Qian Fanghan, this is our fault. I will immediately self-reflect and call people to take Chang Hui away. I have sinned letting such a man amongst us. Ji Dun stood up and said. Qian Fanghan waved his hand. No need, the people outside will take him away. We shall continue our meeting. As soon as he said this, 2 policemen with guns came in, and they dragged Chang Hui away. However, there was more. After those 2 left, tens of police officers all armed with guns came in. Ji Dun's heart sunk. The police took away Hui Chang without going through the police department. This made him have a bad feeling. He was the chief of the Hefeng police department, yet he didn't even know when so many policemen had arrived outside. How could this be called a meeting with so many police in the room? Not only Ji Dun thought of this, everyone else did too. Hefeng would be undergoing a massive change. Qian Fanghan didn't seem to care about what everyone thought and went back to his slow-paced manner of talking. Now, let us discuss the second point. This one is about Niu Zhengman and Ji Dun's money laundering, and about Niu Zhengman harming the lives of hundreds of villagers. This was no longer a meeting indeed. This was an interrogation. Niu Zhengman was sweating. He knew things didn't look good already, but he just didn't expect all this to come so suddenly. He didn't even have a chance to strike back. He had underestimated Qian Fanghan. Harming hundreds of lives. Niu Jingman didn't need to think hard to know that this was related to the Shitong Dam case. But he would still hold his ground and wait for Qian Fenghan's evidence. Without evidence, he would still be able to strike back. But Ji Dun couldn't keep it up. Old secretary, although there are things of my job that I haven't done well, I can't accept this blaming me of having laundered money. Qian Fenghan smiled. This isn't blaming. You did it yourself. Then Qian Fenghan put his USB stick into a slot. The projector displayed all accounts of Ji Dun's money laundering and other illegal activity, as well as evidence of him receiving bribes from Niu Jingman. Ji Dun immediately let loose like a sagging balloon. He finally understood why Qian Fenghan didn't do anything for half a year. He was collecting evidence and making them feel relaxed. Seeing Ji Dun get taken away, Niu Jingman felt relaxed. Luckily, it was only that evidence. Although it was still money laundering, this wasn't the worst-case scenario. Then, Qian Fenghan looked at Niu Jingman and said, "The reason why you haven't been taken away is because you haven't seen a certain recording yet. Mayor Li, do you think there's something this righteous Mayor Niu needs to see?" "Definitely, Secretary Qian." Li Chunxing smiled. He knew that this was pretty much a one-sided battle now. The following videos made Niu Jingman fall into despair completely. It even included footage of him gambling in Las Vegas. Seeing the food poisoning incident and the underground base, Niu Jingman knew that it was the end of him. Looking at Niu Jingman getting dragged out, Qian Fenghan commented morosely, "It's unfortunate that our good mayor, Mayor Su, wanted to make things happen for the people yet was harmed by pests like Niu Jingman. Thank goodness for Mayor Li this time. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been able to find out this much this quick. I thank you on behalf of the country and the people." Li Chunxing quickly stood up and said, "I was just doing what I should be doing. Compared to Secretary Qian's work, this much is nothing." Qian Fenghan waved his hand. "There's no denying your work. What is true, is true. I just didn't expect Mayor Li to gather more evidence in a few days than I did in half a year. It seems we need to give the important positions to young people now." As Qian Fenghan stopped Li Chunxing from saying anything else, he said, "The third thing to mention today is that Niu Jingman, Hui Chong and Ji Dun are relieved of their duties, and that Mayor Li will be serving as Hefeng's substitute mayor, and as its central secretary at the same time." What followed was a round of applause. Everyone clearly agreed. Li Chunxing sighed. This all came to be thanks to Yemo. He engraved into his mind to, no matter what, never fight Yemo. He had 10,000 ways to end Niu Jingman, yet he'd chosen the most complicated way. Only this was able to make him and Xianxia benefit the most. Okay then, most of our government officials are still good people. I will now have the police surround the Yuan family. This meeting is a turning point for Hefeng. What we need to do next is to face this crazy Yuan family and see what they're up to. Qian Fenghan stood up and declared in a loud voice. What made Xiao Lei very overjoyed was that not only could her channel broadcast live what was going on, but they had also captured Niu Jingman and his men getting taken away. What is more, when Li Chunxing came out, he accepted her to interview him and invited their channel to go get the Yuan family together. All the workers in Peacock Channel felt that they had earned a lot that day. They were only an average news channel in Beijing, but thanks to Xiao Lei's connections, they could broadcast something as significant as that in Hefeng. Not even Hefeng Channel got to broadcast it. Almost all the higher-ups in Hefeng, the police and many congregated reporters went towards the Yuan family's place. Lu Yingying trusted Yemo. She had been waiting at the outskirts of the Yuan family's mansion. She hadn't even eaten lunch. Yemo indeed didn't disappoint her. When she saw the massive crow coming, she knew she would get her revenge. Lu Yingying wiped her years off. She was finally going to get her revenge. She walked towards Xiao Lei ready to tell her everything Yuan Zhirong had done. The same feeling of shock took place in Guilin and Ustate. The video Yu Miaodan had played shocked everyone. The problem with the beauty pill and the health pill was actually a shenanigan of the Yuan Bei Corporation. Yet not only had they done this in order to dominate the market, Yuan Bei Corporation was going to spread a virus. The uproar this caused even exceeded Luo Yu's conference in Beijing last time. Everyone gazed at Lu Zuyang in contempt. She never would have thought that Luo Yu could take out such shocking video proof. No wonder they had said they were going to give everyone a clear and happy answer. What could be more clear than that? COU. I knew that Luo Yu wouldn't be capable of doing such a thing. I trust Luo Yu, a reporter said and then asked. So you? May I get a copy of this clip? Yu Miaodong sneered. She knew these people's character. If Luo Yu was on the downside, they would come to them and kick them. It was the law of the jungle in this world. Yu Miaodong smiled and said, You may download the clip from our official website. I don't want to disturb everyone's work. I will conclude the press conference. Almost everyone felt the trip there had been worth it. It was in a matter of minutes for the clip to spread all over the country, but Xiao Lei's channel still took the lead. The press conference in Yu State had been arranged by Ning Zhongfei and Li Mumei. Then, she also released a video of these departments threatening them to take away their license, among other stuff. Yu State was in shock. Almost immediately after the video was released, the government reacted. They quickly fired these people and gave back what they had taken. At that moment, everyone realized how powerful Luo Yu was, so great that no one would dare do anything, and they hadn't seen all of their power yet. In that moment, everyone's eyes were glued to Beijing's Peacock News channel. They were broadcasting how the corrupted Yuan family colluded with government officials, developing a virus and framing Luo Yu. Yuan Zhirong sat in his mansion with a pale face. He looked through the window as the police surrounded his manor. His heart sunk to the bottom. Although a few minutes ago he had received news that a video of their meeting last night had been leaked, he calmed down quickly. He tried to contact Chang Hui and Niu Zihengmin, but their phones were turned off. Although he thought they might be in a meeting, he still had a bad feeling. Yuan Zhirong still believed he could use his power and overcome it. But when he heard that Chang Hui, Niu Zhengman and Ji Dun had been all taken away, he knew things were not good. He had underestimated Luo Yu's power. It had only been one night and they completely turned the tables. He needed to run away immediately, but he also realized it was too late. Yuan Zhirong, you have been surrounded. Raise your hands and come out, a policeman said with a microphone. President, we have been exposed, Yuan Weiping said calmly. Yuan Zhirong looked at the people outside with a green face. He really couldn't understand who had exposed him. Those who had been in that room were only his brother, his son and Weiping, who would have leaked it. But Yuan Zhirong knew it wasn't the moment to think about it. He said to the police waiting outside, We have 36 scientists in our manor. With only pressing the button of this controller, they will all die. I have no other requests but to let us go with a helicopter, and not to do anything in an hour. Qian Fanghan and Li Chunxing glanced at each other and laughed. Did he think he could run away in an hour with a helicopter? Just when Qian Fanghan wanted to order the snipers to execute Yuan Zhirong, his secretary handed him the phone. After the call ended, Qian Fanghan's expression wasn't good. No one knew what the content of the call was, but Yemo could hear a bit from the side. Agree to his words, let him go for now. The safety of the hostages is top priority. Although he knew this was unreasonable, Qian Fanghan couldn't do anything about it. He knew it was being broadcasted live. Li Chunxing looked at Qian Fanghan confused. He didn't say anything. Yemo used his spirit sense. Yuan Zhirong had a sneer on his face. He said to Yuan Ping, Prepare the helicopter. We will leave immediately. Binger, Yuan Zhirong stopped speaking as Yuan Qibing ran out of the mansion as though he had gone mad, and shouted as he ran. I'll tell you everything. A year ago, the movie star Enru came to Hefeng and didn't agree to sleep with me. I killed her. The 4 missing young girls in Hefeng 3 years ago were also killed by me. A master of mine said I could use virgins to cultivate. I also came up the idea of the virus. Seeing him in this crazy state, everyone was shocked. No one understood why he had admitted all of this, but the more he admitted, the more unsolved cases became clear. Young CEP. Yuan Weiping looked at Yuan Qibing in shock. Yuan Zhirong said hatefully, This delinquent son. Ignore him. Let's go. Yuan Zhirong left without hesitation. Yuan Weiping glanced at Yuan Qibing and sighed. As though he could feel Yuan Zhirong was leaving him, Yuan Qibing recovered his consciousness and turned back yelling as he ran. Dad! Wait for me! I'll die if I stay. But Yuan Zhirong didn't seem to have heard it. After half a minute, a helicopter rose up and disappeared very fast. Yuan Qibing collapsed on the ground, whimpering. Yuan Zhirong sneered and pressed the controller. I told you to investigate, but you never found anything. Boom! The mansion exploded, leaving behind a huge mushroom cloud. Everyone was shocked. The police had agreed to his request, yet he still blew up his mansion. No one knew why though. If it was about destroying the evidence, the base should have been enough. EMO didn't expect that the power would be so great either. Even the base was probably affected. President, something doesn't seem right. Yuan Weiping was looking at a screen. Get rid of all communication, go into stealth mode, and maximize our speed. It doesn't matter if it seems right or wrong. As long as the base was destroyed, Yuan Zhirong said. Yuan Weiping said worriedly, our base wasn't blown up. The mansion was blown up instead. What? Yuan Zhirong immediately figured out why the video was leaked. Their family had been infiltrated. Spurt, Yuan Zhirong spat out blood in his rage. Luo Yu, I admit I underestimated you. If I don't get revenge for this, then Yuan Zhirong's face was white as paper. He knew that he had lost completely this time. Li Chunqing saw that Chen Fenghan wasn't saying anything while the helicopter left and immediately knew that this was a problem. However, no matter how strong the Yuan family was, could they be stronger than the Song family? Hence, he didn't worry that Yuan Zhirong would get away. Seeing the helicopter leave without being stopped, Yemo sneered. This was just as he'd expected. This was a clash between higher-ups, but that had nothing to do with him. Chen Fenghan's face had, "This has nothing to do with me," written all over it. You big shots can brawl all you want, but there's no way you can escape from my eyes. I really want to see how someone will save you in this situation. The person who would try to save Yuan Zhirong was pretty much a pig waiting to be roasted. Emo didn't understand how his helicopter could be so fast, though. Couldn't even be called a helicopter, but rather a jet instead. Emo didn't care about any political brawls. He wasn't going to let Yuan Zhirong go. Even if he had to take a spaceship, Emo would still chase him. President, should we find a place where we can get an alternative vehicle before leaving? Although our plane is the best in the world, it's just too big, Yuan Weiping said worriedly. Yuan Zhirong's veins were bulging. He still wasn't able to determine who could have had such power as to relocate all the bombs from the base to his mansion. He had dominated everyone all his life. Since when did he have to suffer this hard? No need, since they say they can delay the chase for 1 hour, they should be able to. If they can't do even that, then I'd rather die than give them what they want, Yuan Zhirong said cruelly. President, although that thing is very important, anything can always happen, just like last night. Also Yuan Weiping paused. Yuan Zhirong woke up from his anger and said, also what? Yuan Weiping continued as he piloted the plane. We're not even that big of a family in Beijing. If they go back on their words and disregard what we have. Yuan Zhirong had regained his composure. So hearing this, he said after a moment, Weiping, you're right. We have to rely on ourselves for everything. They helped us not because of how strong we are. Wait, these people saved me for now, but they won't let me go just like that. Weiping, find a place to land immediately. We can't take this plane. You are very smart indeed, but your Yuan family is useless. A virus that was pretty much finished was given to you, yet you weren't even capable of spreading it. Such incapable people. For some minor interests, you went and offended a small company. If you don't want to die immediately, stop the plane at the Duanheng ranges. A voice suddenly sounded, seemingly very angry. Yuan Zhirong and Yuan Weiping looked at a speaker in the corner. Even if they were idiots, they would still realize that they'd been completely used. Who are you? Who the hell are you? Yuan Zhirong screamed at that speaker. Calling Luo Yu's product just some minor interest. Who the hell was this person? Yuan Zhirong had been using people all his life, but he had never been so utterly used himself. You don't need to ask who I am, you just need to steer the plane where I tell you to. Although I don't care about that thing, your life still has some use, the voice said. How did our Yuan family offend you? Are you the one who gave the thing to Binger? Why did you do that? Why did you not choose all those big families but us instead? Yuan Zhirong's tone was getting crazier. The cold voice replied, because your family wasn't too powerful. That's why I chose you. But like the pig you are, you blew up your mansion instead of the base. The reason I saved you is because you can still be of some use. Yuan Zhirong was dazed and said dumbly, I'm a pig. I'm a pig indeed. Ha ha ha, I was a pig once, but I won't be a pig twice. If I really go where you tell me to, I will probably still die. You're just making me bring the thing. Even if I die, I won't let you get what you want. You want death? Do you not desire revenge? The tone was much smoother this time. Yuan Zhirong's expression was one of madness. My greatest enemy is you, but I know that I can't get revenge. If I were able to kill my enemies, my first victim would be you and then Luo Yu. I know that even if this hadn't happened, when I gave the thing to you, our Yuan family would still be over. Wei Ping, let's die together. Steer the plane towards the rocks. Wei Ping answered calmly, Yes, President. Then, the plane charged towards the mountain. Hearing this, the tone of the speaker became agitated. Yuan Zhirong, you're crazy. Stop right now. That's right. I'm crazy. I can be used once, but don't even think of trying to use me twice. Yuan Zhirong's tone suddenly became calm. He ignored the speaker and said to Wei Ping, you've been by my side for tens of years, and I eventually ended up taking you on a path of no return. I'm sorry. Yuan Wei Ping smiled. President, as I vowed before, from the day you saved me and my sister, my life was yours. Okay, Wei Ping, I'm a few years older than you. Just call me Big Brother. Yuan Zhirong's tone was very calm, and he had a deep sense of relief. He knew that no matter what, there was no way out. Big Brother, Yuan Wei Ping said without hesitation. As soon as he called him Big Brother, the helicopter crashed into the mountain in a huge explosion. Emo, who was following behind closely in the air, stopped. He could tell that this was suicide. He didn't understand why Yuan Zhirong still sought death after having made it out. Emo landed near the rubble. Their bodies almost couldn't be recognized. Emo scanned his spirit sense and was sure that the two dead men were Yuan Zhirong and Yuan Wei Ping. Emo didn't feel anything. The two got what they deserved. A small golden case caught Emo's attention. Emo grabbed the case through the air and opened it. The space inside was very small. Other than a diamond-like crystal, there was nothing else. Emo looked at the crystal carefully. It seemed to be just a normal rock, so since he couldn't tell what it was, he dumped it into his storage ring. Other than that, Emo couldn't find anything on the crash site, so he turned and left. An hour later, another helicopter arrived with 3 men in black getting off. They didn't say anything and simply charged into the remains of the crash as they started searching. Half an hour later, the oldest man said in a bleak voice, There's nothing, no footsteps either, and it doesn't seem to have been searched. It doesn't seem like the thing was brought out. Although he was already in Duanheng ranges and the qi was better than elsewhere, Emo decided to come back to find spirit herbs in the future. His business there was done, and he desperately needed to go back to Flowing Snake to check. When Emo arrived to Flowing Snake, Luo Yu had once again became famous. Not only had Yuan Bei been exposed for framing Luo Yu, but they had also been removed from the market overnight. This incident had made everyone remember the Xiyang milk powder incident from last year. This company had ignored their conscience in order to make more profits. They also got kicked out from the market in one night and therefore shamed. What Yuan Bei had done was worse than the milk powder company's incident. Not only were they harming the public, but also the citizens. They obtained their star product stealing it from a family, after killing the grandpa and brother. They were really evil. If it hadn't been for this incident and the victim, Lu Yingying, exposing them, no one would have even known how bloody the history of the Lu family was. With their plans to spread a virus, if the officials didn't declare Yuan Zhirong to have suicided, he would have probably been eaten alive by the furious public. Although the Yuan family was over, they still had a huge fortune. Under immense pressure, their wealth had been seized by the government for public use, and a part of it was given to victims as a compensation. What is more, Luo Yu was now even more famous, and their products were on higher demand. When Emo came back to Flowing Snake, Ning Qingxue had been waiting for him for a long time. I want to go back to Yu State and have a look. Ning Qingxue had been waiting to tell him this. Only that. Emo smiled and caressed Ning Qingxue's hair. I want to put all my efforts on developing Luo Yu after I go see my parents. I'm thinking the same as Sister Yu. Perhaps one day we can turn this place into a city. This city would only belong to us, and no one would disturb us. I like it that way. Although I know it's not very realistic, this is probably the ideal for everyone in Luo Yu. Ning Qingxue had grown up in a big family, and although she didn't participate in those schemes and shenanigans, she was still familiar with those matters. She hated that sort of life, but Yu Miaodan's suggestion about Luo Yu had given her hope. If the land at Flowing Snake could really be bought, then perhaps they could build a paradise there. The main thing was that she believed in Emo. He was an immortal cultivator. Even if he couldn't become a real immortal, he could still build a city. Okay, I promise you. Emo grabbed Ning Qingxue's hand. She knew how hard it was to make it come true, but he wanted to fulfill her wish. In order to do that, he needed power. Without power, that was just a dream. On Earth, it was too hard to raise his power. Even if he was the only cultivator, it was still very hard. Moreover, Emo wasn't happy with Flowing Snake's land. But he didn't say that. I'll take you tomorrow. Tonight Deshimo's mouth was blocked by Ning Qingxue's lips. Ning Qingxue felt her face warm up. She liked the feeling of kissing Emo. After a while, Ning Qingxue looked up blushing. I can travel tomorrow on my own. In the future, I might have to go back and forth frequently. Furthermore, I'm already at stage 1 peak level. I can take care of myself. You have a lot of things to do. I can't let you take me there every single time. Emo smiled. Although he didn't think that it was troublesome for him to take Ning Qingxue to Yu State, he respected Ning Qingxue's opinion. She could protect herself now indeed. Okay. I'll teach you how to use fireballs tonight. I also have a chi increasing pill with me. I'll try to get you into stage 2 tonight, he said. However, Ning Qingxue put her arms around Emo's neck and said, You can teach me these later. Tonight, I'll stay with you. Emo and Silver sent Ning Qingxue off to the plane before going back to the company. Silver couldn't be taken on the plane, so she could only stay and let Emo take care of her. Because Ning Qingxue hadn't learned the fireball the previous night, Emo could only give her a few chi increasing pills and all of his fireball charms. He had slept with Ning Qingxue last night, but they hadn't broken the final barrier. Although Emo knew that if he wanted, Ning Qingxue wouldn't reject him, he still wanted to find Luo Ying first. He had been with Luo Ying in Luo Yu continent. She had saved him more than once. What is more, she had almost lost her life saving him before transmigrating there. He owed Luo Ying 2 lifer reincarnations. So, in his heart his master was in the same place as Ning Qingxue. One thing Emo hadn't said was that when he could really build a city like Ning Qingxue wished, he would organize the greatest wedding for them together. Ning Qingxue knew what Emo was thinking. She just embraced him for the rest night. Although they didn't do anything more, it was enough for Ning Qingxue. As long as she was with Emo, she was happy. If Ning Qingxue really hadn't seen her parents for some time and if there weren't problems with Feiyu, Ning Qingxue in reality wouldn't have wanted to leave Emo. Emo knew he still needed to increase his power. He couldn't take on an entire army, much less a country. If even in the hidden sects he wasn't invincible, in the inner hidden sects it was quite complicated. Even the monk Wu Dan was on a par with him. Who could be sure that the only master in the outer hidden sects was Wu Dao? Furthermore, Emo wasn't fighting alone now. He had his family, wife and friends. Even if he could run away, they would be in great danger. Although he hadn't been to the inner hidden sects, Emo was sure there were people stronger than him, and not just 1 or 2. But even so, he still needed to go to increase his power and find spirit herbs. He also needed to take revenge on Tai Yi for almost killing Ning Qingxue. He wasn't going to tell her about this. Before going to the inner hidden sects, Emo still wanted to see the place where Zhang Zhihui had gone missing. In Flowing Snake, Emo had stayed in his room making magic artifacts the entire day. Before he left, He wanted to give everyone important to him a defense artifact. When Emo was done, he put them away in his ring. He immediately after sensed someone entering his room. Emo was shook. Who was entering his room? He had just found out. Since when had a master like this arrived to Flowing Snake? Who are you? Emo suddenly turned around and saw a figure by the window. The person by the window seemed very shocked that Emo was able to notice him, and stuttered in Chinese, "You? Did you detect my arrival? Save the bullshit. Tell me who you are or you won't have a chance to talk again," Emo said coldly. Even if this person told him who he was, Emo still wasn't going to let him go. That room was Ning Qingshue's. If he hadn't been there that day, Ning Qingsue would have been by herself. How could Emo let a stranger who snuck into her room go? The reason Emo had asked was to see if there was anyone else involved. The man was a foreigner. He had white skin and a small figure. Although Emo had spirit sense, he couldn't keep it out 24/7. But even if he didn't, Emo could still feel anyone coming near him. This was the first time he hadn't noticed a person, and this had raised alarm bells for Emo. As soon as Emo spoke, another man jumped inside. He was much bulkier than the other man. This was a black man. Emo scanned his spirit sense out. There was actually a third man outside. Emo sneered, but stayed quiet about it. "No chance?" The first man repeated and laughed. Then he said sardonically, "You say we have no chance? Do you know I can kill you simply by waving my hand?" The other man also didn't move nor say anything. It was as though Emo didn't exist in his eyes. There were 2 white men and 1 black man. Emo was confused. Since when was he in conflict with those foreigners? Why did they want to capture Qingsue? They had a strange qi around them. It wasn't like the qi wave of ancient martial arts cultivators, nor like his spirit qi. It was very subtle, but as strong as the power of ancient martial arts, so Emo couldn't judge how strong they really were. To be honest, Emo had never seen such power before, and he didn't know what they were cultivating. Emo just asked coldly, "I don't know you. Why are you here? You're unlucky. Why are you in Ms. Ning's room? Oh, are you her man? Ms. Ning Qingsue is quite pretty. But don't worry. We're here to invite her to our headquarters. We have no ill will. But it's very troublesome that you know about this. However, if you tell us where she went, we can let you go," the first man said casually. Emo's expression was cold. Ning Qingsue didn't know these people for sure. Why did they want her? Emo suddenly realized something. Eden must have told what Ning Qingsue had said to the US government, and now they wanted her for information. Because this matter was confidential, the US military wanted to abduct Ning Qingsue, so the Chinese military couldn't find out. One really can't be too kind-hearted. Emo had killing intent. If he had killed Eden, then nothing would have happened. But he hadn't killed Eden nor the pirate. Although Emo knew it wasn't Eden's fault, in the cultivation realm dead people were the safest. The foreigner noticed Emo's killing intent. He sneered. "It seems that Ms. Ning has told you about the incident, and you know how serious it is. If you're willing to come with us, we can let you live." Emo sneered. "I really wanted you to piss off, but now you no longer have that chance." As soon as Emo said this, he swept 2 wind blades at the 2 men, followed up by 2 fireballs. He didn't need to have mercy on these stupid foreigners. PSH, the first man dodged the lethal strike with extremely rapid speed, so Emo only managed to cut one of his arm off. The fireball turned that arm into ashes, but it didn't hurt his vital organs. The other man completely dodged the wind blade and fireball, and he shot back a spark of lightning. It was the first time Emo saw someone as fast as these 2. They were no lesser than ancient martial artists. Lightning-style attack was rather strong in the cultivation realm. Only those who had a lightning spiritual root could use it. Emo hadn't expected to see someone use lightning style on Earth. His heart sunk. Had he encountered a cultivator with lightning spiritual root? If he had, then Emo wouldn't be able to survive that night. But Emo soon found out that he could dodge that lightning strike easily. It didn't have the lock-on of a strong spirit sense. It struck the floor, creating a large hole. Was this even a lightning-style attack? Emo felt strange. He had never seen a lightning attacks as bad as this one. Even the weakest lightning spiritual root cultivator could use lightning arts much better than that. He's a wind and fire type mutant and he has reached level 4. We will retreat and request for backup. The white man who hadn't come in said in English. EMO just woke up from his shock and realized that the two intruders were retreating. Regardless, since they had come, EMO wasn't going to let them go. That lightning strike couldn't damage him, but if he let them go, that would be real disaster. If their lightning-style cultivation reached a certain state, even he wouldn't be a match for them. The first man was shorter and seemed to be agile. Furthermore, he knew Chinese. EMO threw 3 wind blades after him, before they jumped out of the window. The man already had an arm cut off. With a few more wind blades, he would be sliced into pieces and fall on the ground. The lightning-style man was tall and very fast. After seeing his teammate get killed, he threw 2 more lightning strikes at EMO. EMO could feel that lightning strike was even weaker than the one before. He shouldn't bother dodging it, so he just went past it and threw a fireball at that man's back. EMO thought that since they could dodge his wind blade and fireball, they would dodge that fireball for sure. But as soon as he did, the next wind blade would slice off their legs. What EMO didn't expect was that who he considered the strongest lightning-style cultivator couldn't even dodge his fireball as he ran. He was just burnt into ashes. EMO was dazed. Why was it that easy? It was as though he had used huge amounts of power to lift up something heavy, only to find out it was hollow and made out of plastic. Could lightning-style cultivators really be that weak? EMO shook his head and put down the thought. There had been one more, but when EMO searched for him, he was already out of his spirit sense range. EMO thought about what just happened. He wanted Su Yuehua to investigate, but there were mountains all around Flowing Snake. It was impossible for the current state of Flowing Snake to lock someone good down. Unless this place became a city. A city? EMO realized that he might actually have to build a city there. EMO walked to the lightning-style man's body and didn't feel that he cultivated lightning steel cultivation method, nor spirit chi. That man wasn't a Dao cultivator. If he wasn't, how could he use lightning-style magic? Mutants? EMO thought of this word. That mutant power was too weak for him. Even if he had been struck, he wouldn't have gotten hurt. The Americans had sent a few mutants to capture Ning Qingxue. It seemed they cared a lot about that Japanese organization. EMO destroyed the bodies casually and called Ning Qingxue. Ning Qingxue was about to enter stage 2 and had a lot of fireball charms, so she should be capable of dealing with a few mutants. There was also Luo Fei, who was a black level, to take into account. That night, EMO went around Flowing Snake for a few hours but still couldn't find that escaped mutant. The next morning, EMO called out all the managerial staff of Flowing Snake. Before he left, he needed to have another meeting. Su Yuehua suggested that the first step towards independence should be the instatement of Flowing Snake's own protection unit and establishment of a simple legal system. So they copied China's legal system. After distributing the defensive artifacts, EMO asked, "Who knows about mutants?" Mutants? The only thing most people there knew about EMO was that he was good at making pills, so now that EMO asked the strange question, they thought, is he a mutant? I know some things, Su Yuehua said. There are many types of mutants, and though it is unknown how many there are, those who really have offensive capabilities to speak of number only 10 to 20 types. For example, fire-style mutants can use flames to attack, but if they aren't at a certain level, the flames do little damage to the human body. Seeing how EMO was listening intently, she said again. But once a mutant's power has been completely awakened, it is rather strong. To be exact, the World Mutant Association has ranked the mutant's power level into 10 levels. Fire-style mutants who barely control flames, for example, are level 1 mutants, also called primary mutants. The highest level is level 10. Those 8 and above are tertiary mutants. It's said that wind-style mutants have to be level 8 to be able to fly a short distance. Those are only theoretical data, though. EMO could rest easy now. He was sure that level 8 would be very hard to reach. Even when reached, it would be similar to his wind control at most. In fact, everyone has some mutant power in them, but the situation and type can vary strongly. We sometimes randomly see sparkles on people. That might be because they're a fire-type mutant that can't control their power. One must have a certain body type and amount of talent to reach level 1. It could be said that mutants are very rare and each one of them is deemed a national treasure, Su Yuehua explained. Indeed, although I don't know it very well, but every single country has a mutant organization, most of which serve their own nation, Zhang Jian said. Only now did Yi Mo realize how valuable those people who came last night were. They were the elite of the country, and there didn't seem to be much of them. He just didn't know what level they had been at. It seemed like the US really did take the Japanese incident seriously, even sending such important people. After everyone had left, Yi Mo sighed. He didn't know how many mutants there were in China, but Earth-level ancient martial artists were no bit inferior to those mutants. China was inferior when it came to both intel and military organization, though. There was no other reason than a lack of unity. Yi Mo had researched Chinese history, and it appeared that most of the Chinese wars had been lost due to either themselves or traitors. They often fought among themselves, preferring outsiders to win instead of their opponents. China was also far inferior in terms of technology. Yi Mo shook his head. Casting these thoughts aside, Yi Mo handed silver to Yu Miaodan. He was going to finish up his things and go back to cultivating while searching for Luoying. For state, 9 Moon Sect. This was the second time Yi Mo came here. The first time was when he was searching for Luoying. Yi Mo once said that he was going to eradicate this evil place. It wasn't the first time that the 9 Moon Sect people offended him, but he had been very busy in the past and didn't have time to deal with them. Strictly speaking, the 9 Moon Sect was also in the ranges of Mount Qingxiao. When Yi Mo came here today, he almost couldn't believe that this was the 9 Moon Sect's place. What was once a huge maze of structures now only had a few broken pillars and shattered walls. Burnt rubble laid everywhere. Yi Mo came down from the sky, scanning around with his spirit sense, and he soon saw some clues. There must have been a huge fight. Looking at the ruins, Yi Mo remembered Nia Shuangshuang. Yi Mo didn't have any great impression of her. If she hadn't risked her life trying to send him news, perhaps he wouldn't have even helped her last time. Just as Yi Mo wanted to leave, his spirit sense stumbled upon an underground room. Although the entrance was blocked, Yi Mo could still scan his spirit sense in. The door wasn't very thick, and it couldn't block his spirit sense. There was a body inside. It was a bit saggy, but it had a set of big red robes on it. Yi Mo thought of Niahongi. This woman might be the master of that Niahongi. She had some dried blood on the corner of her mouth. She probably had a huge battle with someone right before she died. She had a bag next to her, inside of which was an ancient sheepskin book. Yi Mo thought that it had to be the cultivation method of the 9 Moon Sect. Yi Mo had no interest in it and didn't even want to go down. This stone room looked ghastly anyway. It was the kind of place where spirits and ghosts gather. Yi Mo shook his head, and just as he wanted to leave, 3 figures walked down the small crooked mountain path, clearly heading to the 9 Moon Sect. Nia Shuangshuang? Although they were still far away, Yi Mo recognized her at first glance nonetheless. It seemed like that Lotus Life pill had saved her. But what was she doing here? Yi Mo didn't want to see Nia Shuangshuang, so he hid. When Yi Mo's spirit sense scanned across them, he found that Nia Shuangshuang's was already below yellow level. Last time he saw her, she was yellow level middle stage. If this went on, perhaps in some time she would become an ordinary person. The 2 men who followed Nia Shuangshuang were very bulky and carried some digging tools with them. They were just normal humans, probably they had never cultivated. Yi Mo could immediately tell that Nia Shuangshuang wanted to dig out the cave the old woman was in. It's here. Dig open this place first. As Yi Mo was lost in thought, Nia Shuangshuang had already brought them to that underground room. The 2 men walked to where Nia Shuangshuang was pointing at, but they didn't begin digging. Instead, they stared at Nia Shuangshuang lustfully without shame. Without Luan Luan, Nia Shuangshuang no longer had that succubus lure, but she was still much prettier than any celebrity. She looked feeble and like she needed protection. With her soft but very busted chest, she was very enticing. If there were a lot of people there, they would at most check her out a bit. But there was no one there, and the mountain was very steep. Moreover, birds rarely went up that high as well. If something happened there, no one would know. Nye Shuangshuang looked like a young girl and she had brought two bulky men there. No wonder they looked at her like that. Nye Shuangshuang didn't seem to notice the way they stared at her. She just groaned. Keep digging. My master told me this is where she buried the gold. What? Are you saying there is gold here? One of the bulky men said excitedly. The other man also looked at her excitedly. Even the lust in his eyes had receded a lot. Yes, yes. Hurry up and dig. I will treat you guys well, Nye Shuangshuang ushered. The two men glanced at each other, and without hesitation started to dig with the shovels. Nye Shuangshuang looked at them as they dug, instructing them on the side. EMO side. Under Nye Shuangshuang's seductiveness, their IQ had gone down to 0. It was suicide. Although Nye Shuangshuang was below yellow level, she could easily take on these two who had never cultivated. That woman was still the same. Even though Luan had left, she still didn't take other people's lives seriously. But these two got what they deserved. Even if they hadn't lusted for Nye Shuangshuang, Emo believed that she wasn't going to let them go afterwards. Emo shook his head. It was time to leave if he stayed. All there was to see would be Nye Shuangshuang killing them. Emo had no interest in that. Just when Emo was planning to leave, he saw another man come up the mountain road. He supported himself with 2 crutches, but he was still eerily fast. How could a man who had broken legs be that fast? Emo immediately recognized this person. It was Nyepai. He had broken his legs in Beijing. He was probably the big martial brother of the 9 Moon sect. He hadn't expected that guy to be here too. Without a doubt, he was there for the same reason as Nye Shuangshuang. Nye Shuangshuang was so weak that she didn't even notice his arrival, and kept instructing the 2 men to dig. Nyepai saw this and didn't approach them. He also found a place to hide, while watching Nye Shuangshuang dig. If Nye Shuangshuang hadn't been here, Emo would have killed him immediately, but he didn't want to talk to Nye Shuangshuang. Nye Shuangshuang seemed to have some feelings towards him. It was probably due to his cultivation method. Emo didn't want to meddle with that sort of woman. He was disgusted at those who belonged to the 9 Moon sect. I see the entrance, one man called out in excitement. Nye Shuangshuang took out a mine torch and said, 2 brothers, let's go in and have a look. The 2 men had already walked down the stairs, as Nye Shuangshuang followed behind. What's wrong? The man looked back and saw Nye Shuangshuang rubbing her ankle. I think I twisted my ankle, Nye Shuangshuang said guiltily. What the hell? The man at the back muttered. Seeing that his pal had gone deep inside, he took the torch and said, Wait here for me. I'll go down and have a look first. Before Nye Shuangshuang could reply, he went in. Nye Shuangshuang quickly called, The thing is inside a stone room. You need to open the door to get it. The 2 men weren't in the mood to listen, and they just ran down rapidly. After the 2 had left, Nye Shuangshuang stood up with confidence and quickly got out of the cave. She waited on the side facing the sun. Emo's spirit sense scanned that the 2 men kept hitting the door, which wasn't thick. With their repeated strikes, it broke gradually and got shattered. But before the 2 men could see their gold, the bleak chi of evil spirits rushed out. They were invaded by that chi immediately, and they fell on the ground, writhing before dying. The chi in no time seeped out of the stone room and rushed onto ground. But as soon as the sunlight shone on them, they turned to dust. If Emo hadn't had his spirit sense, he wouldn't have been able to see this either. No evil spirit could reach Nye Shuangshuang. They dissipated rapidly, and in half an hour they were all gone. Nye Shuangshuang exhaled at ease, and she approached the entrance of the cave again. Just when she wanted to go in, a bleak voice from hell sounded, Martial Sister Shuangshuang. Some people really do meet at all points in life, don't they? You're finally willing to come back to our sect. Ha 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 ha. It's you, Nyepai. Nye Shuangshuang's expression changed. She had no hopes of victory against Nyepai. Why are you here? Nye Shuangshuang knew that it was impossible for her big martial brother to have mercy on her. Nyepai laughed cruelly. How am I here? I followed you this time before you came back here. You tell me, how did I come here? Do you know how hard it was for me? I saw you every day, but I couldn't fuck you. I waited arduously and today you finally came back to take the thing. I knew that old hag would tell you where she hid it. It was just as I expected. Ha 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 ha. You've been following me? Nia Shuang's face got pale. She'd been very careful that time, but she still got caught and followed for so long without noticing. Nia Pai sneered as he walked to her. You bitch. I'm your big martial brother. How dare you not serve me? You colluded with Yemo to break my legs at Yen Shui River. If I don't fuck you to death today, you will become my big martial sister. What? When did I dash? Nia Shuang stopped. She saw that Nia Pai's legs were broken. That meant that the person she had seen before she died that day was Yemo. Nia Shuang breathed heavily. No matter what, Yemo didn't just watch her die, nor let her fend for herself. If someone else or Nia Pai had come back, she didn't dare imagine what would have happened. She was satisfied. Yemo had managed to break Nia Pai's leg, and when he had mentioned him, he had a deep fear in his eyes. From this, she could see that Yemo was much stronger than Nia Pai. When she thought about that, Nia Shuang smiled. Bitch, while I take your virginity and strip you naked for everyone to see, we'll see if you can still smile. Nia Pai was angry at the fact Nia Shuang wasn't scared anymore. Nia Shuang knew that this day would be her last, so she smiled contemptuously. Nia Pai, can you even fuck a woman like me? Keep dreaming, you disabled man. Even if I die, I won't let a disabled man like you assault me. Then, Nia Shuang took out 2 needles and tried to stab herself with them in the head. Do you want to die? I will grant you that wish, but not now. Nia Pai flung his hand and a silver ray flashed. Nia Shuang's 2 needles had fallen in Nia Pai's hands. Why isn't that fuck buddy of yours coming to save you today? Ha ha ha, you've been with him for so long. Yet you're still a virgin? Does he have some problems with his manlyhood? Ahaha, I guess you can only give your first to your big martial brother now. Nia Pai laughed. Nia Shuang looked at her empty hand and started to worry. She just remembered that Nia Pai was an earth-level master. She couldn't even kill herself in front of him. Before Nia Shuang could react, Nia Pai moved his crutches and dashed in front of Nia Shuang. He slapped her on the neck and snarled, Why don't you sleep for a while? After I take the thing, I will enjoy you and show you whether this big martial brother of yours is disabled or not. Nia Shuang fell down without resistance. Nia Pai was prepared to walk into the room, yet at the entrance, he suddenly found that there was already someone there. Nia Pai was shocked. He was an earth-level master. Even without his legs, no one should be able to come in front of him without him noticing. But he really hadn't noticed this person. Who are you? Nia Pai soon calmed down as he saw a young man in his 20s stand before him. Yemo sneered. After cutting off your legs and seeing you run away in the river, I didn't think I would see you again today. It really must be fate. It's you, Yemo? Nia Pai's heart sunk. He was really feeling regretful. He cursed himself for not thinking that Yemo might come today. Since Nia Shuang came, of course Yemo could come too. Nia Pai realized that there would be no way for him to escape today. Yemo was the strongest master he had ever seen. Although he wished to take revenge, he would rather never see Yemo again. Yet he'd still encountered him today. As Nia Pai was still dazed, Yemo threw out a few wind blades. Nia Pai was an earth-level primary stage, sure, but he was still killed by Yemo without any resistance. Yemo hadn't planned on going inside the cave, but since it was opened, he entered it and brought a bag out. The bag was made out of very good materials, but it wasn't attractive to Yemo. He opened the book in a casual way, but soon, Yemo was stunned. This was a real Dao cultivation method. It was called the 9-Moon Evergreen Chant. This wasn't some evil cultivation method at all, and it was actually much stronger than those ancient martial arts cultivation methods. Even though this cultivation method could only make one reach the Qi gathering stage at most, on Earth it was invaluable. If Yemo didn't have his own cultivation method, and if this cultivation method wasn't meant for women, he would cultivate it for sure. Yemo opened the book and immediately understood why the 9-Moon sect members had been so evil. The introduction of the chant said, To fate, people are mere toys to play around with. It wants man to have death in life, to have life in death. Yet my Tao is one of longevity, using the self as the universe. the heart and liver as the heaven and earth, gathering the Yin essence, cultivating the Yin soul. Forget the hollow and fake. See not, think not, hear not, worry not. There is neither internal nor external. Emo sighed. It indeed clearly instructed how to absorb spirit chi of the heavens and earth as the basis of cultivating one's own soul. The inventor of this manual had to have been a genius, but she was born on this earth deprecated of spirit chi, so she could only write out the cultivation method up till the chi-gathering tertiary stage. But her cultivation method was understood as men having to devour women's essence in order to cultivate. What was this? Emo closed the book and sighed. This was a treasure gone to waste. He dumped it in front of Nie Shuangshuang. It would be Yuo to her own fortune to see if she could understand it. If she couldn't, then even if he taught her, her progress wouldn't be high in the future. Putting it down, Emo scanned Nie Shuangshuang and ignored her afterwards. He stood on his flying sword and left. Not long after Emo left, Nie Shuangshuang woke up. She noticed that she was laying on the ground and was shook. She checked her clothes and saw that they hadn't been touched. Finally, she felt relieved yet also confused. Did Nie Pai not rape her? It took a moment for her to see Nie Pai's body, which was split in half. Nie Shuangshuang stood up in horror. Why was she still fine when Nie Pai had been killed? Who had saved her? Nie Shuangshuang was dazed for a few seconds before seeing the bag on the ground. She opened it and found a jade jewel and the 9-moon evergreen chant. She immediately realized that someone had saved her and didn't take the thing. Who was it? Thag was so generous. Both items were invaluable. Who could have dumped it like grass? Had Emo come again? Nie Shuangshuang immediately thought of Emo and with great sadness realized that other than Emo, she didn't have a single real friend. Nie Shuangshuang dumped Nie Pai's body and left as fast as she could. She wasn't the only person who knew about the sect. Emo found the place that the man had drawn for him, but it had no clues left anymore. Sichuan's Mount Qingxiao was where one of the origins of Chinese Taoism lay. The tallest peak, Peak Lao Jun, was 2,363 meters above sea level. It wasn't as beautiful as Mount Qingcheng, so it wasn't as famous. Nevertheless, it still became one of China's protected areas 20 years ago. This place was steep and lacking spirit chi, so Emo really didn't know why the Broken Fist Hall had chosen this place to establish their sect. Still, Emo had come to find Zhang Zhihui today, so he had to go see their sect. Emo only spent a little more than 10 minutes to find the sect. This sect was located in the mountains. Emo couldn't help but commend the ancients for building this place on this steep mountain. There were cliffs everywhere. On the top of the mountain, one could read the 3 blurry words Broken Fist Hall, showing its past glory. Emo walked in. It was very quiet inside. Emo sighed. It seemed that Zhang Zhihui had agreed to his words and annihilated everyone here, but he had never returned. Emo pushed open the front door to the main hall, and there was a loud creak which seemed eerily dominant in the middle of this silence. All the chairs were covered in dust. Emo scanned outwards with his spirit sense, and there was no one around as expected. But when his eyes fell on the painting of the Broken Fist Hall's ancestor, his eyes went cold. A dried human head covered in dust was sitting in the middle of the candle table. This head was Zhang Zhihui's head. Zhang Zhihui was killed and his head was here? Was there someone in the Broken Fist Hall stronger than Zhang Zhihui? Emo took down the head and in his rage, he kicked the drawing and shattered the tables. Afterwards, Emo found a good spot and buried the head, before making an epitaph which said, "Brother Zhang, you died for my sake. Thus I shall avenge you." Then Emo suddenly came to realization. Zhang Zhihui had definitely annihilated the Broken Fist Hall, but if he was still killed afterwards, wouldn't that last survivor target the Zhang family as well as Flowing Snake? If the person who killed Zhang Zhihui wasn't from the Broken Fist Hall, why would he put Zhang Zhihui's head there? Concluding this, Emo couldn't stay here anymore. He felt like there was something he'd missed, but wasn't able to think of what it could be. Emo was pretty certain that his guess would be right. If the Broken Fist Hall really did have such a master, he would definitely try to get revenge. Even if he couldn't find out that Emo had his base of power in Flowing Snake, he would go to the Beijing Yi family. Even if he didn't, he would definitely go to the Shen Zhangzhang family. Yet he hadn't gone to find him nor the Zhang family. This was strange. Someone who could kill Zhang Zhihui had to be at least at the latter Earth level stage. This kind of person shouldn't be afraid of him. Emo believed that what happened in Diansong couldn't have spread out. At most, some people maybe knew that he'd killed multiple Earth-level middle stage and primary stage He-Lu sect members. Before Emo left, he really wanted to burn this place down. But because it must have been hard for the ancients to build this place, he didn't do it in the end. Although he had no idea who might have killed Zhang Zhihui, Emo still called Su Yuehua to tell her about it so that she could be on alert. Before Emo could dial the number though, his phone rung. Emo frowned. Normal numbers couldn't dial him. So who was this? President. The call has gone through. Somewhere in a high-level mansion in Beijing. A caller grabbed the phone in excitement. What? I'm coming. I'm coming. Almost instantly, Han Zixin rushed to the phone and grabbed it. Old brother Yi, your phone is really hard to reach. I told these dialers to call your phone constantly 24/7 for more than 10 hours to finally reach you. Haha. But it's my luck that I could reach you at all. Han Zixin's cheerful laughter sounded. Emo was speechless. This Han Zixin really had his ways. The first time when he was in Hong Kong, he called for a few days non-stop. And now, as soon as he took out his phone, it was reached again. Elder Han, what's up this time? Emo asked speechlessly. He was so busy now that he couldn't even deal with his own things and cultivate. He really didn't want any further matters to deal with. Han Zixin laughed awkwardly. Hee sorry. I really need your help this time. Your stay in Beijing last time was really short, so I was thinking Emo quickly stopped him and said, Old Han, it's not your style to stutter. If there is something up, just say it. Han Zixin said, I really desperately need your help. Can you come to Beijing? It's hard to talk on the phone. Emo fell silent for a couple of seconds and said, Okay, wait for me. I'll come over in the afternoon. Han Zixin wasn't a bad person, and he had helped him many times. Even when the Heaven Squad were looking for trouble with him, Han Zixin still stood on his side. Now that he was in desperate need of help, Emo had to help. Emo wanted to go to Ninghai and take his sister, Tang Beiwei, to Flowing Snake and cultivate there for a while before going to the inner hidden sects, but now, it seemed he could only go to Beijing. Emo called Su Yuehua first before heading to Beijing. Although Emo didn't know why Han Zixin needed him, Emo knew that Han Zixin knew what was or wasn't appropriate. He wouldn't trouble him with some small things even if he had helped him. Han Zixin didn't expect Emo to come this quick. He had only called an hour ago, yet Emo was already in his house. What made him depressed was that every time Emo came, his guards seemed to be just for show. Can't you just knock the door? Are you having an affair in daylight? Emo asked confusedly and started to study Han Zixin up and down. You're having an affair. Han Zixin's face went black. He was a supreme general, yet now, he was being questioned whether he was having an affair. That's right, since you aren't, and since you're the one who called me, why care about some complicated gestures? Tell me, why did you call me here today? Hearing this, Han Zixin smiled brightly, making Emo doubt whether he wasn't perhaps an actor. Yenner, go help me make Brother Yi some tea. Use the premium-grade Westlake Dragon well tea the old bandit gave me last time. Han Zixin quickly pulled a chair for Emo to sit on. Emo sat down and said, Old Han, don't worry about that tea for now. Tell me why you need me first. You know that I've been really busy lately. I was just in Sichuan before then coming over. Han Zixin's face went black. Emo was talking nonsense. 1 hour from Sichuan to Beijing? Who was he tricking? Even if Emo went by plane, it would be more than 1 hour. But Han Zixin wouldn't share these thoughts out loud. So he said with a smile, Brother Yi, you know that all I have is this precious granddaughter Han Yen of mine. This time, I need you to help her a bit. Brother Yi, please have some tea. Han Yen made a warm cup of dragon well, and the aroma was good indeed. Emo looked at Han Yen in surprise and said, Brother Han, your granddaughter seems very well. What does she need my help for? Han Yen heard this and seemed to want to say something but eventually didn't. In the past, she wouldn't even have cared about Emo's words. But now she knew he was someone very powerful. Han Zixin sighed and said, I'm sure, brother, that you know about the hidden sects, but have you heard of the hidden sect tournament? Hidden sect tournament? Emo had heard about it more than once. There was one every 3 years. Last time when he met Emokong, he said that it had been changed to once every 5 years and that the location had changed to some city. What did this have to do with Han Yen? Thinking about this, Emo said subconsciously, Of course I do, but hasn't it passed already? Passed? Who said so? Han Yen looked at Emo strangely. Emo felt his nose awkwardly. I don't know, maybe I heard wrong. I knew you would know about it. Han Zixin clapped his hands and laughed. Han Zixin continued, Han Yen is representing her sect for this tournament, and I want you to help. You want me to instruct her? Emo studied Han Yen. Her power was a bit too low. Yellow level tertiary stage. Was the standard this low? Han Zixin stood up excitedly and said, If you could instruct her, then that would be even better. Emo waved his hand helplessly. I cultivate different techniques from her, so no point in instructing her. Tell me, how else can I help? Although his relationship with Han Zixin wasn't bad, he didn't have that much chi-increasing pills, so unless Han Zixin mentioned it himself, he wouldn't use them. Hearing this, Han Zixin wore a disappointed look, but that face immediately faded. He said fervently, Yenner's sect is called the Guang Han sect. It's a very small sect. Although it's an outer hidden sect, it ranks at the very bottom. A sect like hers can only come to the tournament once every 3 times, which is 9 years. Now that it's 5 years in between every tournament, Guang Han sect can only come every 2 times. Each time, they only have 1 spot. Emo frowned. If it's that prejudiced, then why go? Han Yen smiled bitterly. Because the prize is very good each time. If you can enter the top 30, you get a black rising pill and a 500 million reward. The top 10 win those and an earth-level cultivation method on top. The top 3 can enter a spirit pond to cultivate in for 3 months. It said that 1 month in there is more efficient than 1 year on the outside. Other than this, everyone gets a pill to reach the earth level. This isn't even the main thing. The main thing is a secret reward that the top 30 all have a chance of getting. Emo thought, could that be a spirit well? If it was, then no matter how powerful the hidden sects were, he would be taking it for himself. As for the other rewards, they didn't interest Emo. In fact, what I want the most is the top quality black rising pill. I don't even hope for the top 10, Han Yen said. In that case, why don't you just go compete? What can I help you with? Emo asked strangely. Han Yen said with some embarrassment. Because during the tournament period, there have been frequent cases of killing before the tournament. So each sect sends a master to protect the contestant. We don't have a master in our sect, and my master is still recovering from her failure to reach the earth level. So you want me to protect you? Emo asked. Han Zixin rubbed his hand awkwardly. Brother Yi, Yenner is my only granddaughter. If something happens to her, I won't be able to handle it. It was my idea. She didn't want to trouble you. But since we've had a good relationship so far, Emo stopped Han Zixin. If Han Yen hadn't mentioned the spirit pond cultivation thing, he would have rather given 1 or 2 pills to Han Yen. These pills would be much more reliable than the black rising pill. But Emo suspected that the spirit pond was a spirit well, and he wanted to go see it. Emo immediately nodded. How long till the tournament and where is it at? Do the participants have to fulfill any requirements? Han Yen at once replied, It's in 3 days at Broken Hill Peak in the Ghost City. Participants must be under 30 and have their own identity jade card. Then, Han Yen took out hers, which was a small card made with white jade. Okay, I agree. In 3 days, I will be waiting for you at the Shiyu Hotel in the Ghost City. Emo quickly agreed. Emo knew about the Ghost City. Its real name was Gue Chung City, but people were accustomed to calling it the Ghost City. He had been there before when he was searching for Luoying, so he knew about it. It was famous nationally and abroad. It attracted large amounts of tourists. But a few years ago, when some people claimed that it was haunted, newcomers started to decline. Although there weren't as many people as before, most people who went there nowadays had some power. Some were monks or Taoists, Others were from the hidden sections. The Xiyu Hotel was the biggest hotel of the city. He had stayed there last time. Emo also knew the boss since the hotel used to be haunted. He was a nice person, so Emo gave him a magic 8-trigram plate to him for defense. Because the power of the magic artifact was much stronger than those runes and charms the monks and Taoists had given him, the boss respected Emo greatly. "Brother Yi, will you manage to book a room at Xiyu Hotel?" Han Yen asked with surprise joyfully. "What's wrong? Xiyu Hotel is a place where people usually stay at. Why wouldn't I get a spot?" Emo asked strangely. Han Yan's joy disappeared. She replied in disappointment. "Because of the hidden sex tournament, you can't even book a room there. They are fully booked because of the sex. Not even government workers can get a room, so you won't be able to get one now." Emo smiled. "Other people might not, but that doesn't mean I can't. Just make sure to meet me there." Emo trusted that the hotel's boss would be able to get him a room. Han Yen looked dubiously at Emo, wondering if he was telling the truth. But Emo's face was calm, and she couldn't see any doubt. Han Zixin put on a serious expression and said, "I'll leave Yenner to you, old brother Yi. But I called you here today for an even more important matter." Seeing Emo look at him with confusion, Han Zixin sighed. "You know about last time's data report, right? It was about the space flower blueprint. You actually only gave a small part of it to Li Hu. This blueprint is very significant. Up until now, our researchers still can't understand what sort of genius could design it." Han Yen also looked at her grandpa strangely. "Grandpa, it's amazing, but it can't be that great. Is it better than a spaceship?" Han Zixin had a very serious expression. "If the space flower gets developed, a spaceship would be a broken wooden ship next to it. The space flower blueprint really allows the possibility of a marine and air-based weaponry. It's power-efficient, fast, evasive, and easy to control. If the space flower is really built, it can destroy a country easily. Of course, I'm talking about a scenario in our current situation. When the radar systems become more advanced, not even the space flower will be able to go undetected. But the space flower can also constantly improve." Emo asked confusedly, "Is it really that strong?" Han Zixin's expression became even more serious. "The space flower blueprint is a blueprint that will begin a new era, but we only control a part of it. We still haven't built its energy source, mobility systems, nor cloaking technology. The person who designed it is not just a genius, he's a genius of the universe. I've never seen someone with this much knowledge." Hearing this, Emo also thought about it thoroughly. Could someone that amazing really exist on Earth? Or was that person also a transmigrator who came from a technological civilization like him? Han Zixin continued, "The blueprint probably comes from the Northern Sand. This organization is very mysterious. They've been gathering the talents of different countries. According to our intelligence, more than 10 countries know about the blueprint, and this is because the US accidentally spilled it. These countries all want the blueprint. If this blueprint is taken away, it won't benefit our country in any way. If it's taken by the US or a European country, it wouldn't matter that much. They need to maintain their face, but if it's a country like Japan, it would be a disaster for the world." Emo nodded. "I know. I promised to help you find it last time, but I've been really busy. I haven't had the time." Han Zixin immediately looked happy and said, "You aren't to be blamed. If one could get it that easily, it wouldn't be something desired by the whole world. Since the US brought up the plan to steal it, they should be taking more the initiative, but for some reason, they've been dealing with something in the Pacific. I don't know what's going on." Of course, Emo knew why the US had been messing around with something in the Pacific. They were looking for the Black Sun Empire. The US wouldn't let such a threat slide. The HQ of Northern Sand is very well hidden. There are many, but no one has been able to find one up until now. Even if they did, they wouldn't dare scare them, or the blueprint would never touch the surface again. I presume the US knows about 1 or 2 bases, but they would never make public such info, Han Zixin said worriedly. Emo wondered about if he could get the blueprint, whether he could sell it for a lot of money and use that money to buy land. Thinking about this, Emo realized that perhaps he needed to find that blueprint. And one more thing, if that blueprint was really that good, could he take it for himself? He wouldn't have a proper army for his land, but if he had that war machine, he could protect his city before he actually reached a certain power level. Emo first intended to negotiate with Han Zixin for his help with solving Emo's territorial problem if he managed to get the blueprint for him. Now, however, Emo changed his mind because if the blueprint was really that good, why should he trade with Han Zixin? He could just keep it for himself. Leaving Han Zixin's place, Emo went straight to Ninghai, since he wanted to bring his sister, Tang Beiwei, to Flowing Snake. Brother! Tang Beiwei just came back home when she saw Emo standing in the garden. She was really happy to see her brother. Emo saw that Tang Beiwei had reached the stage 2 middle level and so was also happy. He saw the plastic bags in her hands and asked, "You went out shopping?" Tang Beiwei blushed and nodded. She then changed the topic. "Brother, go inside and look around. I've changed that flower pot a bit." Emo followed her in. The current flower pot was bigger, and the silver heartgrass was growing well. She must have spent quite a lot of time on it. "Beiwei, you also moved the purple heart vine in?" Emo also saw the purple heart vine beside it. Tang Beiwei smiled and said, "Yep. What do you think? I was going to move the blue flower blue leaf grass over too. But you said it needed a formation, so I didn't touch it." Emo couldn't help but pat her head and mutter, "Really growing beautifully. Brother, are you saying that I'm growing beautiful or the grass?" Tang Beiwei smiled cheekily. Emo had known her for some time but never knew that she had this side to her. He touched his nose and said, "Both." Pausing for a moment, Emo said, "Beiwei, you probably know that Luoyu is my property, right? I came here to take you along to Flowing Snake. I'm worried about you living here by yourself." Emo was happy that Tang Beiwei had brightened up. She had been depressed ever since Tang Jing died. Brightening up was nothing but good for the sake of her cultivation. Although Tang Beiwei once mentioned how she liked the peace and quiet, a girl just over 20 staying with a bunch of old nuns every day worried Emo a bit, because that was simply too depressing. Luoying was better off because she was cultivating the tranquility cultivation method, but Tang Beiwei was just cultivating what Emo taught her. As soon as Emo finished speaking, Tang Beiwei exclaimed in joy, "Brother, is Luoyu really yours? I knew that you had something to do with that company, but I didn't expect it to be real. My brother is super rich now. You little treasure hunter. Let's go to Flowing Snake together. I'll let you count money every single day." Emo petted Tang Beiwei's hair. What Emo didn't expect was that Tang Beiwei would fall silent for a while, and then say, "Brother, you know I like peaceful life. Serenity was good, and my mother was there too, but sometimes I would think about you, so I left. This place is very good, and you even lived here before, so I like it. Stupid girl, don't be like those boring nuns. You'll be marrying someone in the future. Besides, it's too lonely for you to live here." As Emo witnessed Tang Beiwei's change, he was very happy. Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and murmured, "I'm not marrying anyone. Also, I'm not always alone. Jingwen moved over to live with me. Sister Yunbing and Ting Ting often come over too." Su Jingwen. Emo immediately said, "Isn't her house in Ninghai? Why would she move here then? Where is she? Jingwen really likes this place, and since I was lonely living here by myself anyway, she moved over. There was a reporter interviewing her today, so she dashed before Tang Beiwei could finish her sentence. Su Jingwen came walking in with a bag. "Huh? Emo, you're back." Su Jingwen stood dazed as she saw Emo talking to Tang Beiwei. Emo smiled and said, "Jingwen, long time no see." "Yes, it's been long indeed." Su Jingwen had always been wanting to see Emo, but now that she finally did, she realized that she had nothing to say. Tang Beiwei saw that the atmosphere was a little awkward, so she quickly brought out a few chairs. "Sister Jingwen, what did the reporter interview you about?" Tang Beiwei broke the awkwardness. Su Jingwen glanced at Emo and said, "The reporter is my friend, Xiaolei. Emo also knows her. She wanted to interview my dad, but he wasn't around, so she interviewed me. It's about my uncle, Su Hong, who used to be a mayor at Shitong but was framed and was said to have committed suicide. The truth came to light, and Xiao Lei wants to do a special report just on him. Emo didn't expect this relationship. From the eyes with which Su Jingwen looked at him, Emo knew that Xiao Lei must have told her everything he had done. After a while, Su Jingwen opened up and became more casual. Emo, the Luoyu in Flowing Snake is yours? Su Jingwen suddenly asked. She immediately realized, though, that if Luoyu wasn't Emo's, how could Fei Yu have been chosen? This was obvious. Brother, you're really amazing. I saw the news too. That Yuan Bei Corporation is really shameless. Such hypocrites. By the way, brother, do you have any more of those face-preserving pills? Give one to Sister Jingwen. The beauty pill she bought is really expensive. Tang Beiwei only realized after speaking that her words hadn't been very suitable. If the beauty pill was already that expensive, wouldn't the face-preserving pill be even more expensive? She had one before and knew how good it was. But what she didn't know was that the face-preserving pill was on a whole different level. If she understood it properly, she probably wouldn't say such words. Emo felt a little awkward. He did have quite a bit, but he was waiting for them to increase in value. Last time, he told Mo Kong to only sell a few. After a few years pass and everyone knows its value, it won't be selling for just a few $100 million. Now that his sister asked, he was put in a tough spot. With their relationship, it wasn't over the top to give something as expensive as this. Su Jingwen saw Yemo's awkward face and felt a little sad. She knew that it wasn't cheap, but no matter how expensive it was, with Yemo's current worth, he wouldn't mind. What she cared about wasn't the pill but Yemo's attitude. Yemo's spirit sense immediately picked up Su Jingwen's expression. Remembering how she'd helped him before and how they were friends, he quickly took one out and gave it to Su Jingwen. This thing is similar to the beauty pill, you can have one. Haha. If Beiwei hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have even thought of it. Su Jingwen took the pill feeling very happy. She cared not about the pill but the fact that Emo was willing to give her one. It meant that he gave her special treatment. There was a faint fresh aroma coming from the pill. Su Jingwen immediately knew that this wasn't something the beauty pill could compare with. Perhaps it was worth hundreds of thousands. If she knew that even if she sold her company, she might not be able to buy it, she wouldn't be able to stay so calm. Emo quickly said, "Hurry up and eat it. If you don't, it will lose its potency." Hearing this, she immediately put the pill in her mouth. What surprised her was that it melted in her mouth immediately. After a moment, she felt there seemed to be something changing in her body and there seemed to be things seeping out of her skin. Just when she was feeling unsure, Tang Beiwei said, "After you eat the pill, there will be impurities pushed out of your body. Go take a shower." After Su Jingwen left, Tang Beiwei said in a small voice, "Brother, was I a bit too rash? That pill must be very expensive."